Hey, are you ever going to start this podcast you've been talking about for like forever?
Do you think that anyone will actually want to listen to something like this?
What is your plan for an introduction?
Are you sure you want to talk about these topics? People usually disagree.
3 hours? Are you crazy?
Do you think you're some kind of expert or something?
Are you planning to have an intro song?
What if a bunch of people get really mad and hate you over this?
Do you even know how to make a podcast?
Are you just doing this because you like to argue with people?
Don't let this be just one more thing that you talk about doing, but never actually do.
Wouldn't it be better to do just one episode for each topic?
Stop trying to change people's opinions. Just live your own life.
Dude, people are never going to agree. Just let it go.
Is this going to be a long intro? Because if it is, I'm bored already.
Hello, thanks for checking out this podcast. It's a great conversation today. But first, anybody ever get stuck behind the guy driving the hoopty that's going 10 miles an hour that has the bumper sticker on the back of his car that reads, "Go ahead and speed around me, I'll just see you at the next stoplight"? Of course you have. This guy thinks he's so funny, right? But here's the thing. Sometimes this guy is right. Sometimes we will go around him, only to get stopped at a red light and have him pull up right next to us, in which case he will usually look over at us with a smirk on his face as if to say, "Ha ha, told ya!" But here's what he, and possibly you, may not understand. Sometimes we speed around him and actually catch the green light, which makes it totally worth it to go around him because this could mean that I will make it to work on time. Just because sometimes we don't make the light, and this guy thinks it's hilarious, doesn't mean that we should never try to go around and catch the green light, because, you see, we just don't know at the moment that we decide to go around whether we will catch the light or miss the light. So we have to at least try. The unfortunate thing is that when we do catch the light, that bumper sticker guy is still far behind us, so we can't have the satisfaction of giving him a smirk that says, "Ha-ha, look what happened this time. Your bumper sticker was wrong, and you, my friend, are a loser." All we can do is hope that he gets that message while watching us get through that green light while he is still stuck back at the red. Sometimes you just need to be happy with the little things. My guest this week is Michael Moore. Not the famous filmmaker, this is a different Michael Moore. This Mike Moore is a semi-famous firefighter that I have known since high school, although I didn't really know him. He was scary then. In our early 20s, we became friends while working as pizza delivery drivers. There's that theme again. We lost touch for many years after that, and then reconnected again. You will get to hear all of that during the episode. You will also get to hear many of Mike's conspiracy theories that he won't call conspiracy theories because, as the saying goes, they're only conspiracy theories until they come true. If you have been listening to this podcast, you know that I am a huge fan of conspiracy theories. If you haven't been listening to this podcast, know that what I just said was an attempt at sarcasm. Mike, however, is a fan of conspiracy theories, whether he will admit to that or not, and we talk about a few of them in this episode. Mike is still trying to convince me that the moon landing never happened. This was a fun episode, with lots of laughter, but also some serious discussion about our crazy world. Mike is a good friend and a lot of fun to talk to. In this episode, you will hear us discuss turkey versus ham, 80s music, Heavy D, Two Live Crew, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, R. Kelly, Eazy-E, High C, the rapper, not the fruit drink, Ice Cube, the rapper, not the stuff that would go in your fruit drink, Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, Casting Crowns, Mercy Me, Kane Brown, Michael Jackson, Eminem, 8 Mile, The Family Structure, The Media, Finding the Truth, Ivermectin, COVID, The Moon Landing, The Militant Anti-Vaxer, The New Definition of Racism, The Nuremberg Code, Chickenpox, Because of COVID or with COVID, Conspiracy Theories, Boys in the Girls' Locker Room, The Prosperity Gospel, Progressive Christianity, Evidence for Christianity, The End Times, and One World Currency. Enjoy the conversation. So that's it, man. So how's it going?
Good.
All right.
Yeah, man.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good.
Did you guys go to her parents' house, or?
We went to her parents. No, we went to. So every year prior, even before I met Kayla, they would go to Bass Lake.
Okay.
Her grandparents.
Like her family, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So her parents, her grandparents started that tradition many years ago. And then when I met Kayla, I started going there with them.
Okay.
Now both those grandparents are passed. And so they took a couple of years off. They're kind of figuring out, because now you have some family that moved to Washington and they moved further out.
Savages.
So they don't want to make the trip.
Right.
And so Kayla's parents were like, well, we still like going, so why don't we go?
So you guys are carrying on the tradition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just they went this year, but so Wednesday, Thanksgiving Day, and then Friday they all stayed at Chuck Chansey, which is a casino next to.
Oh, with a hotel or something?
Yeah, it's like their version of the Chumash, almost exactly the similar size as the Chumash.
Is it Indian or Native American to be PC?
Yeah. Yep. But I heard about them in the news years ago. They had an uprising, almost like here, like the coastal. I forget which one it was. Either the coastal Chumash or the inland Chumash. They don't get money, but the other ones do.
Why is that?
I don't know. They're like, oh, you're coastal, even though you're Chumash, you're not the right type of Chumash. This is our casino.
Wow.
Yeah, so even amongst themselves, they don't really share.
Mutiny in the ranks.
So it happened up there at that casino. Some form of Indian, some sect went in there with full-on AKs and ARs and held the entire. They took hostages.
Dude,
they did. It was like a full-on. We want our money that you owe us.
How long ago was that?
It was maybe 10 years ago now.
Wow.
It was shut down for a couple of years after that, and they reopened, and then COVID hit, so they kind of shut down again. And so, long answer is, we stayed at this hotel casino Wednesday, Thursday. A couple of the restaurants offered like a Thanksgiving platter, but some other people ordered it like that doesn't look too good. So we just order off the menu normally.
Yeah.
We came home Friday because I had to work Saturday, and then Kayla's parents and her brother went Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Came home yesterday to Bass Lake.
Oh, they came back and forth kind of thing? They do the casino first, then you do Bass Lake. Are they near each other?
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
What did you eat for Thanksgiving dinner then? Did you get a traditional?
What did I get? That meal. No, it wasn't traditional at all.
Did you have a gyro?
I got an open-faced roast beef sandwich.
Okay,
that's what I got. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of boring, man.
Yeah, it's better than what I saw though.
Yeah.
As far as the turkey.
Oh, the turkey.
Yeah.
See, I don't get turkey, dude. I like lunch meat, turkey. I'm all about it. But like turkey, Thanksgiving turkey. I mean, I understand it's like tradition and it's just what we do. But it's just really not one of the best meats. It's usually really dry. It's just not like
it's very almost all the time
like
dry.
like chicken. I'd rather have chicken or beef or pork. I mean, those are all like we usually do a turkey and a ham.
We do, yeah, so
and I love the ham, which is funny because back to lunch meat, I don't like ham lunch meat, but I like you get like a honey ham or one of those spiral hams or whatever.
Get big thick slices.
Oh yeah, dude, fantastic, love it. You know, and I'll put that on a sandwich.
Sure,
no problem. But yeah, I like just like lunch meat ham. Nah,
no good.
Not happening.
I'm the exact same way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's because that must mean you're right.
Yeah,
you're on the right side of that debate. So, all right, man. Well, let's jump into some musical discussion. So first, I like to go to the earliest memory you have of enjoying music. Like, and how old were you, and where were you? What was the song? I mean, if you can remember. I know you're pushing like 75, so you probably can't remember. Way back then, you know.
Oh, back in the 30s. My earliest memories of music were in the 80s when I was a young kid.
Okay.
Of like just 80s music.
Okay.
Getting ready for Little League games.
Okay.
Putting my pants and my stirrups on and listening to whatever was on.
Okay. Just on regular radio?
On radio, yeah.
Okay.
My mother, I was living with my mother still at that time, and she was a country fan, so a lot of the 80s country as well.
Like Garth Brooks and like, who else?
Travis Tritt.
Okay.
Ronnie Millsap.
Okay. Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dolly Parton.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you were born in what year?
79.
Okay. Okay. So you're like 5 or 6 probably at this time? Little League?
Yeah, 5 or 6 years old, maybe 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my earliest remembering to listen and start liking music.
And you did like it? You liked that country back then?
Sure.
Do you still like country today?
I don't like the modern country. I prefer 80s and 90s country.
Okay.
More the I'd even go as far back as like Johnny Cash.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it's a different. Now it just seems very, almost like they want to try to add some hip hop flavor into it.
Right.
A little twangy. They try to rhyme their words like they're rapping type of, you know.
Yeah. Well, there actually is country rap.
Is there?
Yeah. Do yourself a favor and look up Cowboy Troy. Yeah. Do yourself a favor and go listen to some Cowboy Troy, because it'll.
I'll look him up.
It'll blow your mind, man. It's epic. You know?
Cowboy Troy.
Yeah, that I was going through the CD collection at work, and kind of adding genres and kind of figuring stuff out, and I didn't know where to put that one. I had never heard of this before. It was Cowboy Troy, and I'm looking it up on like Wikipedia and stuff, and it's like country/rap, or no, country/hip hop. I'm like, what? So I popped the CD and I started listening to it. I'm going, okay, yeah, that's what this is. This is like, but I mean, you have a lot of guys that have kind of done that. Like, there's a lot of like Kid Rock songs, or like Uncle Cracker, and some of those sound very, and like right now big is Jelly Roll. Have you ever heard of Jelly Roll?
Is he that really big guy with the beard?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's got some. He's a rapper, but he kind of does like what Uncle Cracker does, sing rap kind of like stuff, and but the music sounds very country, and a lot of the lyrics are very kind of country kind of lyrics.
Okay.
But he's got some good stuff too. There's one dude. I forgot the name of the song now. There was one video that just had me in tears because it was so powerful. I'll find it, and I'll send you the link so you can watch it. But
all right.
Okay, so then what about after that? Has it been country all the way your whole life, or did you kind of come out of that? And
I came out of that because I started hanging out more with my peer group at that time.
Okay.
Less with my mom. So I get older, just less hanging out with my mom, more with my friends.
Who are probably a bunch of hooligans.
And so their influence was more hip hop ish, you know. So back then, I remember listening to like Heavy D.
Okay.
Who else? Well, shoot, man. I don't ever really picture this group as being old, but now I think about it, Bone Thugs is really old now too.
Yeah, that was probably late '90s, I think, right?
Well, I was still in high school, so I.
Okay. Oh no, I was too.
Like
yeah.
92, 93.
Yeah, that's true. Probably that first. Dude. Remember the first time you heard Thuggish Ruggish Bone? Mm-hmm. Dude, I was floored.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I got to get some more of this. This is just like, this is awesome.
So that song was the first one that I remember hearing. They had like a lady singing the hook to it.
Okay.
Like that type.
Yeah. It's the Thuggish Ruggish Bone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then who else was back then? Funny story. My mother, so I remember going in the mall and like the warehouse. They would sell CDs.
Yeah, for like $45. That place was always so expensive.
Yeah.
Or like Sam Goody and Musicland in the mall. It's like, can I get this new CD? Yeah, it'll be $28.99.
Yeah.
What? Man, for one CD?
For one CD. But the first tape that I ever owned, my mother bought it for me.
Okay.
Was 2 Live Crew.
Your mom bought you 2 Live Crew.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to think that she didn't really know what she was buying me. She just kind of did it. But
the half-naked women and the parental advisory sticker on the front didn't do it, huh?
Well,
and the title was probably Nasty As I Want to Be. Was that the album?
Yeah, it was.
Okay,
yeah. Nasty As I Want to Be, so... I remember that the first
couple
song
red flags on there.
Me so horny.
Exactly.
And so
I'm guessing she probably didn't care. She
probably didn't care. Yeah. It was probably just wasn't caring. Like, hey, go do what you want to do. So that was the first tape I ever owned. Was 2 Live Crew.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't even remember how old I was then. Maybe 10, 11.
That probably had some impression on you a little bit, huh? Their wonderful view of women and
yeah.
Great role models, those guys.
Yeah. So I remember walking around with Walkmans.
Yeah.
With the big fuzzy things on the ears and then even to get music, you get a blank tape and listen to the radio and wait for your favorite song to come on, and you kind of hit record right away.
Yeah.
I was kind of glued to the radio.
You always miss the first 5 seconds, the last 5 seconds, or it bleeds into the next song that's coming on or whatever. Yeah.
And then the next tape I owned, my grandmother bought it for me. Was
where's this going? My mom bought me 2 Live Crew. My grandma bought me NWA.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Okay, a little cleaner then.
A little cleaner.
Okay. Which one was it?
That was Parents Just Don't Understand.
Okay, so he's the DJ, I'm the rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I had the Freddy Krueger song on there. And
Nightmare on My Street. Yeah. That's a good album.
Mm-hmm. I wish I had those tapes still.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I still have those songs on my phone. Like I had those CDs. I don't have the cassette tapes because those don't age well.
Yeah,
and they don't sound as good. But yeah, I grew up. I loved DJ Jazzy Jeff when that first came out. Like that video for Parents Just Don't Understand.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this is great.
That's great.
And then I followed them all the way in through what was the album with Summer Home Base? Yeah, that Home Base album that was a little more on the serious side. It's like their first we're gonna be But that song Summertime, dude, you can still throw that on and just Oh, dude, yeah, it's so good.
Well, speaking of that type of stuff, so a lot of my was now that I think about it, I think I got more music from MTV than the radio.
Okay.
Watching the music videos.
Yeah.
And that's when I started learning that I liked all types of music.
Mm-hmm.
From Talking Heads.
Okay.
All different genres.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is like mid 90s at this point, mid to late 90s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nirvana.
Yeah.
Metallica.
Nice.
Heavy D again had a lot of music videos.
Yeah.
Paperboy.
Barbara Streisand. I was going to throw her in there.
The Scorpions.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
The Wind of Change. I used to love that song.
But don't let's not leave Paperboy because
Diddy.
I talked to a lot of people and they don't even remember that.
Really?
Oh, dude, I loved that album. Obviously Diddy was the big song, but that was it called the whole 9 yards, I think was the name of the album.
I don't remember.
I think so. Yeah, because I think the song "The Whole 9 Yards" was my favorite song on that album. But then he had "Bumpin'" was his other single.
Yeah.
It was great, dude.
There's a lot of good songs. I think that era of music was better. Even I know a lot of people don't like to give him the props now because of what he's done, but I still think R. Kelly was very talented.
Oh, sure.
A lot of great songs.
Yeah, because I struggle with that because it's like I'm the kind of person that I can separate a person's personal life usually from their music. Like I can say R. Kelly is very talented. He had some great songs, fantastic albums that he had put out. And at the same time, he's convicted of pedophilia and all this other stuff that he was, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean he's not a good singer.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, but I guess I understand people that say, "Oh, I'm never listening to him again. I don't want to support him because of what he did." I understand that too, but I don't usually go that far with things.
I will only if I'm the same way. If my conviction is obviously strong enough, which sounds well, of course, Mike, right? If anybody's convictions are strong enough,
right?
But I'll do that with Hollywood movies.
Okay,
we'll talk about we'll get to that in a bit, but maybe certain actors, but
because of things they've said, like in interviews or corporations, okay,
like Disney right now.
Okay,
right? I'd have a hard time watching a Disney movie.
Okay, what a hater.
But R. Kelly, right? He did what he did, but do I think he's very talented? Yeah, heck yeah, I do. Yeah. Would I not buy his album? No, I still buy his album.
Right. Right. Well, I wouldn't have to. I already have it. I don't know if I'd buy anything new he put out, like if he put out an album from prison or something, which artists do sometimes, which blows my mind. I'm like, you're in jail. How are you able to record and release an album and make money off of it while you're in jail? Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah, how do they?
They do it. Slick Rick did it. Remember Slick Rick?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He did it. What's the other guy? Rappin' Forte? He did it.
Forte? Yeah. Too Short? He didn't go to prison.
I don't think he went to prison. Yeah, Too Short was a big one, too. Yeah.
Ant Banks was part of that whole
Thank you. Dude, no one ever remembers Ant Banks.
Ant Banks was classic.
Dude, his couple albums was Sitting on Something Fat and I forgot the other one. But dude, great, man.
His solo albums were great.
Yes, they were fantastic. And and then it was like him and like was it MC Pooh or Pooh Man as he started going by later. Pooh. Yeah, there was all that Oakland rap was always my favorite.
E40.
See, I can never get into E40. I cannot stand E40.
He has really good. I have a couple of good songs of his.
Yeah, see, I've had on this podcast. So many people tell me that, and I'm like, I just can't. I don't know.
The Bay Area rap's different.
Yeah.
They had Bay Area rap's a lot different than
Yeah.
SoCal rap.
Right. Right.
Who else was up in that era? That guy who sang. He was saying. Oh, I forgot what it was called.
I love that song.
I'll look it up.
That's a good one.
I have to look it up right now.
Give me some hints. I want to see if I can guess. Sing it for me or something.
Something about pimping. Oh, that says every song.
I was going to say, that's too
Area.
short. It had a Shorty the Pimp.
Long Jerry curls.
Not from Bay Area?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not Sally Cell.
So that's another good one.
That's
No,
nice.
it wasn't Sally Cell.
Okay.
Oh man.
I'm thinking of MC8, but he's not. He's got the Jerry's, but he's not. He's from Compton, not the Bay Area.
Oh, I'm going on YouTube, but not. Let me look on Google.
Hey man, you're supposed to come to these prepared. You know,
I know.
Expect you to do your homework.
He had that one-hit wonder. Well, remember Andre Nicotina? You ever
No.
him? He's pretty good one. Spice One.
Spice One was great, dude. What was that? Welcome to the Ghetto.
Yeah.
And 187 Proof. Dude, so good.
I'll find it.
Yeah, I used to love Spice One. I forgot about him.
Spice One, and then who else was in Ice-T and Body Count?
Yeah.
Ice-T.
He was one of the original to mix the rap and the rock together with Body Count. That was kind of a what do you call that? A revolutionary. What's the word when you start something? Trendsetter or
entrepreneur.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
he's a pioneer.
Yes.
He's a pioneer.
That is the word I was looking for. Yes. So when you think about all those old rap, like who's your favorite? Did you have a favorite back then? Did you prefer the Bay Area over the kind of the West Coast or the Compton area?
So back then I didn't really know a difference. I didn't know I just thought it was all West Coast rap. But if I had to have a favorite back then, it was probably Eazy-E.
Okay.
Probably because his voice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's. I mean, I look at Eazy-E, and I think that's why almost every NWA song he comes in last. Yeah, because he just kills it every time. He comes in and he just takes over. I felt like that about. Do you remember? DJ Quick?
Oh yeah.
So
Dollars and Cents.
yeah, right. And but he had his whole group, which was like him, AMG, Second to None, right? And then there was High C. Who had that song, I'm Not Your Puppet, remember? But whenever they would all do the songs together, High C would always come in at the end. I felt the same way about him, like with Eazy. He'd just come in and just nail it at the end.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Second to None was another one of those guys were great. That one album they had was fantastic, and then they just fell off the face of the earth. So, how about East Coast?
Well, there's obviously Biggie, right?
Did you like him?
I did.
Okay.
But not really that much. I mean, he has some good songs. But I would never seek his album and I go buy it. If it was on the radio, I'd probably sing to it or something. But
right.
And then Nas was from over there, right?
Yeah. That's probably my favorite East Coast rapper right there.
He's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
And then I don't know where they're from. I think they're from over there, the Fugees.
I don't know where they're from either. But yeah, they were good. Yeah, I loved Lauryn Hill's that solo Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, that album she had.
I don't think I heard that one.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic. You probably heard a lot of songs off it.
Probably.
She had Killing Me Softly was on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
She's got a bunch of ones on there. Awesome.
And then, who else was the East Coast? Oh, he had ODB.
Oh, yeah, and the Wu-Tang. Yeah. Method Man. Method Man was my favorite from Wu-Tang. Yeah, awesome. Wow, dude, you got a lot of... So in that time of your life, that was probably your favorite genre, would be the hip-hop kind of stuff? Because you got a lot more knowledge about that than anyone else I've talked to so far. I mentioned a lot of these names, and they don't know who I'm talking about. When I start going a little bit more... not the most popular people, like you're talking about Ant Banks and MC Pooh and like guys like that, and Selly Cell
or MC Ren. Yeah,
right. Nobody knows these people.
Okay,
I've never said Selly Cell on here and had somebody go, "Oh yeah,
hell yeah."
They're like, "Who's that?" You know. So would you say that's kind of your favorite from that time period in your life?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you know how I was raised a little bit.
Yep.
So I had this kind of chip on my shoulder, and I kind of had that thug mentality.
Right.
Even though I didn't participate in any of the lifestyle like that, I just kind of had that anger.
Yeah.
And so that music was like, oh yeah, this is how I can feel the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were scary in high school, dude. That's why I stayed away from you. That's why I didn't. I mean, I knew who you were in high school, but I didn't know you.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we started working together at the pizza place, and I was even kind of like, oh man, I don't know about this guy.
So high school was the peak of my anger and this is the lifestyle I'm going to choose, and I don't see any other way out.
Yeah.
And but there's other plans.
There was
other plans for me.
There was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that music was great. I'll even still throw on, because remember that song by Eazy-E called Radio?
Oh yeah.
It's like his only one with no cussing.
Right. Yeah, unless you bought the edited album. Like there was two versions of that Eazy Does It album. There was the one that was the parental advisory one, and then it's same with NWA, Straight Outta Compton, all those ones they would have. Back then they would release a normal parental advisory version and then an edited version. And I don't mean like they would beep out stuff. Like it was literally the lyrics were different.
Huh.
Like they would change it. Like in Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
The boys in the hood are always hard. Come talking that trash, we'll pull your card. Doing nothing in life but to be legit. Don't quote me, boy, because I ain't said. And that's what the parental advisory one say. But the other one said, don't quote me, boy, because I ain't said nothing yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like, so it would change the lyrics around, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember radio. In fact, that just came on the other day. We were in the garage playing ping pong, and I had my thing on shuffle, and radio came on.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, my oldest daughter, even Haley and Jenna now, will be like when I'll take her to practices down south.
Yeah.
Upon the radio, and most of the way it's a Christian radio station on the way down.
Yeah.
And then you start hearing the same songs over and over again. So then I hit the Bluetooth, connect to the car, and just go on YouTube and say, hey, Dad, let's put out some songs that you used to like, you know. So then I have to start re-go, okay, what am I, you know, which ones don't act, which ones don't say all this stuff.
It's
you know?
like 2% of them probably, yeah.
But then I'll throw on the one, there's always a clean version usually.
Yeah.
And so I'll throw the clean version on.
Okay.
But even then, clean version doesn't mean the topic's clean.
No.
It just means the words.
Yes. Well, even the words. Usually a clean version nowadays just means there's no F words or S words. Like they'll still throw the minor stuff in there.
Yeah.
And they'll still have some sexually explicit, you know, kind of content if the song's about, you know, a guy sleeping with 20 women or something or whatever, you know, that's like usually an edited version's not going to take that out.
Well, so that's when I start realizing, wait, yeah, it says edited clean, but now I'm actually listening to the words because my daughter's with me.
Right.
I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. You're like, we're changing that one.
We're changing that one. Turn that one off now.
Yeah. You have an example of that? One of the ones you were showing them and you're like, oh, no.
Well, so NWA.
Okay.
Ice Cube.
Okay. Which song?
When he went solo, not NWA. He went,
which song and album do you remember?
The Bop Gun.
Oh, okay.
With George Clinton.
Yeah. Is that on The Predator?
It's The Predator.
Okay.
And even, you know, Today Was a Good Day.
Yeah.
All those songs they have, well, obviously this one, No Vaseline. There's no, even if that was a no clean version, still the lyrics, you know.
I don't think you can clean that one up very good.
You can't clean up that good.
That's one of the best diss tracks of all time, dude. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we can talk about diss tracks.
Yeah.
You remember when DJ Quick dissed MC8?
Uh-huh.
That's a good one.
That's the best diss line, in my opinion. That's the best diss line of all time, because you know MC8's name is spelled E-I-H-T, and he goes E-I-H-T. Now should I continue? Yeah, you left out the G because the G ain't in you. It's like yes, dude. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I liked MC8. I liked his solo stuff. I liked him with Compton's Most Wanted, but DJ Quick was always better.
Yeah, he was good.
DJ Quick was in my opinion, he was a better rapper, lyricist. His beats were just, dude, you put on that song Tonight. Dude.
Was that the one he did with Tony?
No, that was...
another one he did, Tony.
Yeah, that was on the Safe and Sound album, I think, the one you're thinking of. I'm talking about on his very first album, Quick Is the Name.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight was that I was just like, dude. Yeah, so good, man.
Actually, maybe that might be on the Tony album, the one we had DJ Quick on with.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But so did you ever come out of that? Like, what did you? So you said you started listening to kind of some rock and some, like you mentioned, like Metallica and stuff like that, Nirvana.
Yeah. So the most glaring switch from music probably had to have come when I didn't have access to music for a while. And that's when I went to juvenile halls and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I went in listening to all the 90s rap, hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't have access to music for a little bit. And then obviously my friend group changed because I don't, I'm separated from those people.
Yeah. So now you don't have any friends.
I don't have any
you got to
friends.
make new friends.
And so then I started listening to guys like, this is probably my all-time favorite band.
Okay.
Is maybe Linkin Park.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Started getting introduced to some Linkin Park.
Nice.
Not understanding or really putting a lot of thought into the actual lyrics.
Right.
But just the way they would use that kind of like screaming sounding,
Yeah,
and
mixed with the rap.
Yeah. Mixed with the soft singing. All that combined was like a very new sound.
Yes. Oh, I'm with you. I remember the first time I heard that Hybrid Theory album, I was floored.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. I think Crawling was the first song I ever heard.
Yeah.
And then I got the album and I listened to the whole thing. I was like, okay, this whole there's not a bad song on this album. This whole thing is fantastic.
Now, let's stick with Linkin Park for a bit. But the only other group that I bought the album, and I was like, well, a couple other people, that every single song on the entire CD was great.
Yeah.
It was Linkin Park's.
Yep.
Sublime.
Oh, which one? 40 Ounces? Or the self-titled?
Is that the one where it shows his back?
Yeah, that's the self-titled. Yeah, with
every song
with What I Got.
Yeah.
And, Pawn Shop. And all
Pawn
that.
Shop, yeah. Every song on that was epic.
Okay.
And then R. Kelly's.
Okay, which album?
R. Kelly.
Oh, okay. A little bit later than that.
The one with Down Low.
Yeah.
You Remind Me of Something. Those are the 3 CDs. I mean, every single song.
Yeah.
I think Keith Sweat might have had an album like that.
See, dude. Oh. See, they don't make music like that anymore.
It's all copycat stuff now.
That 90s kind of soul R&B stuff was the best. It was great, dude. Keith Sweat and like the New Edition guys and all their solo, Bobby Brown, Ralph Tresvant, Johnny Gill, Belle Biv DeVoe. Like, dude, this stuff was great, man. You can't find that anymore.
There's a ton of songs now that my daughters will, or hear on just the radio, or someone will have on, and I'll be like, have you heard the original one?
Right. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And I had to do that with Haley. Actually, that was one of the times we drove down. She would have all these songs, and I said, well, let's listen to the original one. And it would be from like when they would sample from Kool and the Gang.
Oh, yeah.
Snoop Dogg did some Kool and the Gang stuff.
Right.
Him and Jermaine Dupri.
Oh, yeah.
And then Biggie did Juicy.
Yes.
From
who did that one?
Tutone or
Yeah.
Tutome or something.
I don't know how to. Yeah, it's like MTUME.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either.
And so a lot of these, well, not say a lot, but there's a fair amount of songs that are really good nowadays, but it's like, the original was in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah. Well, there's that one song, I don't even remember who did the newer version, but that Don't You Wish Your Boyfriend Was Swass Like Me? Or whatever. Maybe it doesn't say Swass. Maybe it was something like me and somebody was like, it might have been one of my older kids was like, oh, I love this song. And I was like, that's like a total, like Sir Mix-a-Lot, like, and I showed him the real, Don't You Wish Your, and I think even Sir Mix-a-Lot's version was a cover of something.
Might have been.
Or like a sample of something, but it's just, it's funny how they latch onto these songs that are coming out these days, and it's like, this new song is great. No, dude, that's like the fourth time that song's been done. That comes from like 1962 or something.
Well, do you remember the whole famous interview that went viral when they accused Vanilla Ice of stealing that song? And I'll never forget. He goes, "No, the real song goes dun 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 dun. Yeah. Mine goes dun 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 dun."
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't hold up in court. Yeah, I thought you got a bit. Just admit you sampled the song, dude. Come on, everybody was doing it back then anyway. Just about every popular. I mean, that was back when Ice Ice Baby came out. That was when like You Can't Touch This was really popular by MC Hammer. That was a sample of was that Rick James song, right?
Yeah.
It was Super Freak, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, it's like everybody was doing it. Why was Vanilla Ice like? So no. I didn't do that. I made up that beat completely by myself.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, horrible.
Yeah. Speaking of MC Hammer, that's the very first concert I ever went to. When he was at the Mid-State Fair. I forgot who opened up for him, but MC Hammer was the guy. Yeah.
I think I had another guest on here that was at that same show.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, because he was talking about being at that show.
That might have been late 80s.
Okay. So that was like in the beginning.
In the very, very beginning.
Because I think when did Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him come out? Was that had to have been 90, 91, because I was in junior high. I remember they used to play at the Lakeview dances along with Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby, and
maybe early 90s then.
Okay.
Probably.
And they always had to throw Guy in there. That was always the slow jam. Remember that song, Let's Chill?
Yeah.
Let's chill. That was the song you'd always, muster up the courage to go ask the girl you like to dance. And she'd be like, no. And then you go cry in the bathroom and, be suicidal for a little while. And you get over it and you'd be stronger on the other side, man,
That's it. But so Linkin Park, you want to say?
Yes,
Linkin
let's
Park
do some Linkin Park. I'll tell you, I'm going to be totally honest with you right off the bat. I think their first album is the only one that's really good.
Really?
I think they have select songs on the other ones that are decent, but I think on that Hybrid Theory album, that was where it was at.
I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like obviously in retrospect, looking back, if you listen, like I said, when I first were introduced to them, I didn't really dive into the lyrics too much, and I was just more of like, this is great. The way they're combining all these.
Yeah, it was more of the sound.
Yeah, the sound of it. Yeah. And then in retrospect, after he committed suicide, I started getting more interested in looking up interviews with him and how he did, and you can see in his interviews he had a lot of pain,
right?
A lot of stuff going on, and then you can go back to his songs, and all of it, you can hear the pain in what he's actually saying,
right,
in the lyrics.
Right,
he's telling everybody, how he's feeling.
There's warning signs,
a lot of warning signs.
Yeah, yeah, it's always a bummer.
It's a bummer,
But I think it's one of those things where you're like, that stuff doesn't buy happiness. You know what I mean? Like, you can have all the money in the world, all the women in the world, all the everything. I mean, Hollywood's got a pretty high, suicide rate. So it's not like they're immune to it, or they're on heavy drugs because they just can't cope with things, and they're, you know what I mean? Like, they don't really have anything solid to stand on. It's all, worldly stuff.
That's
which
it.
Obviously we'll get into in our spiritual discussion, but
it's all temporary stuff.
So can you pick me a favorite Linkin Park song? It's a tough one.
Well, the one that you probably, because it came on a later album.
Okay.
It's a way mellow Linkin Park song. It's one of their latest ones. Was One More Light.
Yes, that's off their final album, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's the name of their final album, if I remember correctly.
I don't know the album's name. Yeah.
I think so. I might be wrong there, but yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good song.
I do like that one.
But on the album you like, the best one.
Yeah.
I would probably say the one. Was it Crawling or was it let me see.
It was Crawling, In the End.
In the End.
Runaway. Okay.
In the end. Yeah. Listen to those lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I can relate to some of those lyrics in that's why it's my favorite.
Nice.
Not because of the beat or anything, but the lyrics of it.
Yeah. Did you ever? I showed you Apologetics, the group Apologetics. They do like covers, or not covers, parodies.
Sure.
They're like the Christian Weird Al. They do that one In the End, but it's Corinthians. It's awesome.
Corinthians.
Yeah, awesome. It's like Corinthians, first letter, 13th chapter. Yeah, you should check it out. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I love that. I love that song. We used to do that one at when I worked at the ranch. There was the bumper cars out there had the best stereo system ever, and it had a microphone you could connect. So me and the other guy that I worked with out there used to do that song karaoke. where I would do I think I did the rap part and he did the singing part. Like he would do the Chester Bennington part and I would do the Mike Shinoda part. It was awesome. It was great. I mean, not when we had guests or anything, but just when we had we were just employees were screwing around in there and stuff, like cleaning stuff or whatever. We'd always do like karaoke on the microphone. It was great, man.
That's good, man.
Yeah, because that guy that I worked with, he was like a karaoke. He like won some karaoke championship or something. So he was like, we used to do Linkin Park. We used to do Limp Bizkit all the time, to where I would kind of do the raspy he would do the rap part with that. Like he'd do the Fred Durst rap and I'd rolling. We'd do all it was a blast. All right, so how about what's been the most influential band or artist for you? Someone that's like literally changed your life, whether either back then, like early on, or even recent.
Well, this is a genre we haven't even talked about yet because we're still stuck. We're still talking about old stuff, but now it's probably, I'd say I listen to 90% Christian music. And so in Christian music, I really listen to the lyrics.
Right.
As opposed to the instruments.
Yeah.
Instruments help out, but the lyrics is what I'm really about as far as that genre of music. And I'd probably say it'd be a tie between Casting Crowns and Mercy Me.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, they got some really good.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
You got any specific songs that you would throw out there?
I have to. Yeah, I can
look it up.
Look it up. Yeah, because I don't really commit to memory. I should.
Yeah, Mercy Me was one I was a fan of, but not a huge fan of. And my cousin got tickets to see him live, and I was like, But we went, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was great. It's a really good show. It was energetic. I thought they were going to be kind of slow and boring, but they were really energetic, and they were great on stage. It was an awesome show.
All of Creation.
Okay, that's by
Mercy Me.
Mercy Me, okay.
Yeah, then they have Flawless is another good one.
Yeah.
That one, they have a music video for that. Have you seen the music video for that?
I don't think I have, no.
The music video helps out with the lyrics because it talks about, or it shows just each band member, but in little subtitles, what they struggle with.
Oh, wow.
So one guy's like, I struggle with being the head of my household.
Right.
Another guy, I struggle with addiction.
Wow.
I struggle with...
These are the band members or just people?
Band members and people.
Okay.
I struggle with worshiping false idols.
Right.
And so it's like, man, they really struggle with stuff.
Yeah.
And then it shows them getting cleaned up a little bit.
Okay.
Throughout the music video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I'll check that one out. Is there one where they're like holding signs saying that?
No, that's Jason Gray.
Jason Gray, okay.
He sings that song, Remind Me Who I Am.
Okay.
Yeah, same concept.
Okay.
They have like one guy has one lady with her son, and they're all cardboard signs.
Yeah.
And it says like,
with like permanent marker written on there or whatever.
Yeah. And it says like, I've been cheated on.
Okay.
I've been discarded.
Yeah.
I'm a refugee. I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
And that's all these people's I guess transgressions that they done and things have been done to them.
Yeah.
And so remind me who I am. The whole thing of the song is people forget who we are in Christ.
Right.
And they need a reminder.
Yeah.
And I'm not that adulterer. I'm not that alcoholic.
Right.
I'm not those things. He views me different.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the song, everybody's sign changes to redeemed, I think is what it says.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that is the one I've seen then. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Hit you in the feelers.
Yeah. And then that last song I sent you by Dax.
Oh, yeah. Was it the man one?
Yeah.
I'm a man or whatever? Yeah. So I first heard him because he was featured on a Tom McDonald song.
Yeah, you're saying.
Black and White, I think was the name of it, because it was Tom McDonald and Adam Calhoun who just had The Brave 2 come out, which is their newest Tom McDonald album. But it's both of those two guys on there. And then that song featured Dax. I'd never heard of Dax.
Yeah.
And I liked him in the song. And then that kind of me and Danny were listening through them, and then he kind of would send him through YouTube stuff, and Danny was sending me links, and he sent me that song actually before you did.
Oh, okay.
And that's why when you sent it, I was like, oh yeah, I just heard this one. I mean, I think it was within days.
Was it the 10-minute long version of it?
Oh, I don't remember.
Because the one I sent you by Dax, it has a lot of artists on there.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, like
it's got all kinds of people in it.
Yeah, and they all sing like little 30-second portion,
and it goes on forever.
Yeah,
it's a really that is the one I heard.
It's a 10-minute song.
Yeah,
it's like November Rain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Stairway to Heaven or something.
Yeah.
But the original, I didn't know. The original song of that is actually a country song that Dax has that little. He sings that same little hook line on it.
Okay,
but he sings it for Darius Rucker.
Oh, okay, the Hootie.
Yeah, Hootie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always and we were talking about this the other day, but like I always guys with like Dax, some of these rappers who definitely aren't Christian in their music. Like you listen to Dax's song, he's got a lot of profanity and stuff in him, but his messages are very conservative. It's like Tom MacDonald, same way, right? You listen to Tom MacDonald, it's like, okay, take out the profanity. This is like right-leaning, conservative Christian music, right? Because he talks about God, he talks about Jesus, but I don't, and he wouldn't say he's a Christian. I think he's on the right. Yeah. Which kind of gets lumped in with Christianity sometimes, because most Christians are right-leaning. It's just the way it is. Not all, most. So yeah, it's always interesting to me because I was thinking to myself, like, Are we watching like these guys at the beginnings of them eventually receiving Christ?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because every album that Tom MacDonald puts out now, he gets a little more there, a little more there, a little more there. He's talking more about those kinds of things. I'm like, is the Lord working on him? I mean, like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah. So I remember, I think we talked about it. I don't think he's putting any music out on it, but there was talk that did Eminem find Christ?
Yeah.
And we're like, imagine if that's the case.
Yeah.
And someone as influential as that comes out, that could be powerful. He put out music that way?
Totally.
Man.
Well, it would do two things. It would a lot of people would hate him because of it. They'd be like, oh, forget this guy, stupid idiot, became a Christian, what a loser, But then those that were like diehard fans, probably a lot of them would be like, oh my gosh, like, is this real?
No.
Really? Like, Eminem, tell us, man, what happened? And he'd be up there giving his testimony, be like, well, it's like that tattoo artist that just recently became a Christian.
Kat?
Yeah.
Kat Von D?
Yes. So that's having an impact on people,
I just saw a video last night where I want to say, I don't remember the number, so I don't want to say it, but a handful of Hamas people had visions, and now they're turning to Christ.
Oh, nice. Nice.
in Gaza.
Yeah. It almost makes you believe that there's a powerful God that can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that no one's gone too far.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, we talked about like doing the lyrics, listening to lyrics now. On the flip side of that, like, because what you said reminded me of it. There's and the only artist I could think of is that, what's that country singer name? Kind of a newer guy.
He's a country singer?
Country singer. And he had that song I sent you about I Worship You or Worship My Wife or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Who was that?
Look them up, too. Just whoever listens can...
Yeah, I don't remember who that was. I remember you sending that to me.
Worship.
And I watched it. I just don't remember who that was.
Worship You. Kane Brown.
Oh, Kane Brown. Yeah.
Kane Brown. So...
Yeah, he played somewhere nearby here not that long ago.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I had friends that went to his show.
So like, when we talk about listening to like the lyrics, I think on the surface, because my wife, Kayla, said, this is a really good song, might listen to it, right? And the message is great.
Right.
Puts his wife first, comes across as this family man, and however else the song plays out. But when I'm listening to the lyrics, we're not supposed to worship anybody.
Right. Except God.
Except for God.
Right.
And so I could see how, and so maybe I overthink this stuff, so when I do listen to music and when I do pray, especially now in today's society with all this, maybe this new AI stuff coming out. And I pray for discernment so I can kind of pick through so I don't want to be led astray.
Yeah.
In music, right? Satan was the angel of light, they said, but he uses music.
Right. Well, he was, it said something about him. What's that exact word? I forgot exactly what it said. But yeah, something like him being the leader of the musical whatever, something or other, right? Yeah.
And so I can see if he's going to deceive a mass amount of people, do it do it through music.
Sure.
You might think, oh, this is a great song. I'm going to go worship my wife now.
Right.
And
it's not going to be so obvious, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. Like, people think that Satan's going to be like, they're looking for the red guy with the pitchfork and the horns. You know, and I think that's deceiving because they're looking for that, and then they're blindsided by the real Satan, who looks nothing like that and acts nothing like that, and who's going to be subtle. He's going to sneak it in there and make it look like Jesus.
Yeah.
He's going to make it look like the truth. You know, he's not going to be like, oh, hey, I'm Satan. You know, like this obvious, because everybody be like, oh, yeah, that guy, obviously that guy's satanic. Let's stay away from that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's not stupid. So, that's what always blows my mind about that kind of stuff.
What you just said right now, and I'm sure we'll get to that in this religion.
Yeah.
But then one of the next topics, but the Bible doesn't say Satan comes to scare us.
Right.
He comes to deceive us.
Yeah.
And no one's scared, or no one is deceived by the guy who's scary because they know there's no deception there.
Yes.
He's playing his cards.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's why, and this is what a lot of Christians don't understand, is that as he starts to infiltrate churches and congregations, people think that whatever goes on inside that church building is Christian because it's in a Christian building, it's in a Christian church. No, there's all kind of stuff going on in there that shouldn't be going on in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not biblical. That's why we need to stay with the Bible. Like, everything needs to be compared to the Bible. It's like, well, I believe this. Well, who cares? What does the Bible say?
Yeah.
The Bible says something different. Guess what? You need to change your belief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's bad. Yeah. But yeah, we'll get into some of that for sure. All right. So let's see, where do we get? All right. So let's round off the. What time we got? Yeah, let's finish off with this. We'll finish off with your top 5 favorite bands or artists. It could be some you've already mentioned. That's totally fine. Because I'm sure we've already talked about some of your favorites.
Yeah, well, even just thinking now, I have some others that we didn't even get into.
Well, let's hear them.
Well,
now's your chance, man.
I'd have to say, and you want in order?
No, it doesn't have to be in order. Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Okay. All right. The King. All right.
The King. Linkin Park.
All right.
Mercy Me.
Boy, quite a diversity here.
I know. Yeah. And we didn't talk about this group either, but I'd probably say Diamond Rio.
Interesting.
Remember Diamond Rio?
I do. I sure do. That was what, like 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this isn't gonna be, but I used to like a lot of his songs. Remember John Cicada?
Oh yeah.
So, but not him.
What was that? Well, okay, but what was the song?
John Cicada?
There's one John Cicada song that was like in the 90s. It was a huge hit.
Oh,
like it was all over the place, all over the charts, and I can picture the video, but I can't remember what the song was.
Because he had a really high pitched.
Oh yeah. Well, he has a great voice.
Great voice. I can sing the song. I can't remember what it's called though.
Well, let's hear it, man.
Was it Angel?
No.
I
don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar. I'm talking like it had to have been like even late 80s, early 90s is the song I'm thinking of. It was the first time I'd ever heard John Cicada's name. Oh, I'll look it up later. I'll bump it on the way to work later.
Yeah. And then,
but anyway, all right, so we'll go to the next, the fifth.
And the thing that my last one would probably be, and this I'll tell you the reasons why first, is because I think he rapped about his real life.
Okay.
He doesn't care about, and I think you're going to guess who it is by just
I think I already know.
He didn't care about being politically correct.
Okay. Before you tell me who it is, I'm going to give you my 2 guesses and see if I got it right. If I get it right.
He didn't worry about offending people. He just sung whatever he wanted to sing.
Right.
And to me, regardless of the message, if you're just gonna be true to yourself that way, that's a respectable quality.
Okay.
So what do you think?
So there's two options because both guys I'm thinking of fit exactly what you just said, but I think it's Eminem. Okay, but the other one I was thinking was Tupac.
Oh, Tupac.
Because he was also that way. He was like, look, I don't care. I'm just gonna tell you what I think, and you know, a lot of people were offended. But I think Eminem did more than just saying what he thinks. I think he purposely. Well, first of all, I'm also a huge fan. I think Eminem is one of the most talented rappers ever. But I think he purposely pushed the envelope. Because, I mean, yeah, tell us what you think. Mm-hmm. But seriously, I mean, some of the things he was saying, it's like, dude, really? I mean, it's like, he was saying things like, yeah, let me think of some of the rappers that I know of that have said things in the past and been offensive, and I'm going to say things that even they wouldn't say.
Yeah.
You know,
like for the shock factor?
Yeah. You know, I'm going to rap about, you know, about killing my daughter's mom and throwing her in the trunk and driving it off or whatever, you know. And,
true, yeah.
You know, I mean, stuff like that, or, you know, but yeah, so.
Okay, so let me recant that. I think because that's a good point. I think he rapped about his life.
Yeah.
I think in the other portion of that, like, I think we all have thoughts that we're scared to talk about out loud. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of those, like you said, kills, you know, throw her in the trunk and drive her off. Sure. Like Dear Stan, I think that's the song he's talking about.
Well, no, yeah. Well, no, that's one, but that one's like, Stan's like, he's telling a story about someone else, like a crazy Eminem fan who was writing him a letter. Mm-hmm. The song I'm thinking of was on the first album. I think it was on the first album. Not the first, you know, the first big one, the Slim Shady LP. But it even, because he mentions her by name. Mm-hmm. He calls her Kim and the whole thing, and he's talking about strangling her or slitting her throat. I forgot exactly what the words were, but
yeah.
Anyway,
so like in a weird way, it's almost like he's not ashamed to these deep, dark, maybe shameful thoughts he has. Mm-hmm. He just says them.
Right.
Like in his movie. You saw his movie 8 Mile?
I still have never seen 8 Mile. So I've heard the soundtrack, but I've never seen the movie.
So they have a rap battle at the end, right? And, you know, when he's going against, I forget the guy's name he's going against. He's the reigning champion. Mm-hmm. He, you know how they do is they just diss each other.
Right.
So Eminem...
Battle rap,
yeah. So Eminem goes first and basically just disses himself. My mom was this. I was this. And it kind of took all the power away from the guy.
Right. You beat him to the punch.
That's awesome. And so how I view that now is like, that's almost like a confession.
Yeah.
You know, like people try to put on this front like, oh, no, I'm not that guy. Mm-hmm. My life is, they put on this, my life's good. Everything at home is stable.
Right.
And for him to, in front of an audience and in his music, for millions of people to hear, to say, yeah, my mom was this, and I did go through this, and I do have these thoughts.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that is true, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's always what I get to. Like, if I had his mom and him, like, I mean, I guess you'd never really know because either one of them could be lying about the whole situation. Which they do, right? You see interviews with his mom where she's like, I never did that. I never said that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he could be just saying that. I mean, who knows, really? Or he could be telling the truth. Who knows? We just don't know because we weren't there.
Sure.
But I think most of the rappers that are rapping about stuff like that, it's like, it's not even, I mean, come on, you know, and sometimes they get called out, you know, it's like, what are you talking about, man? You went to private school. You grew up in, you know, in a rich neighborhood with, you know, you're talking about thug life and you're like, you know, it's like how you had to sell drugs just to get a piece of cheese or something, you know, it's like, come on, you know?
Yeah.
So if you could, so let's see if you get this question right. There's only one right answer to this question. What is the best Eminem album?
Slim Shady.
No, dude. Come on. The Slim Shady LP, the first one? No.
Which one?
Marshall Mathers LP.
Which songs are on that one?
Oh, boy.
Let me see. I'll tell you.
That's where Stan's on there. What was that other one? The Marshall Mathers. The song Marshall Mathers is awesome. I'm trying to think of what the other. My Name Is. No, not My Name Is. The Real Slim Shady. That song's
Amityville's on that one.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, you're looking at part 2. Aren't you? Marshall Mathers LP part 2.
This is Public Service, Under the Influence, The Way I Am.
Oh, The Way I Am. Yeah, that one's
back.
On
Who Knew?
Yeah. There you go. Criminal. Yeah, that's the one.
Paul.
But that song Marshall Mathers.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Well, then let me see here.
That's one of my favorites. I love that the way it starts. You might see me jogging. You might see me walking. You might see me walking a dead Rottweiler dog with his head chopped off in a park with a spike collar. It's just like, dude, who thinks of that stuff? And he's got a flow like nobody's business, man. That guy just, he just says the craziest things, but he makes it sound cool. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah. So that's my favorite album. But yeah, those are all the songs there. The Slim Shady LP is good too, but I think that was good. But then, and I still think he's good today. I still think the stuff he puts out today is good. I don't think it's as good as the earlier stuff, but
I haven't heard any of his new stuff.
Oh no, yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's just pretty good. Like you listen to they have a couple songs here and there that are pretty good. And he's been featured in a couple songs that are pretty good too. Where he'll, of course, I don't know why anybody would want to feature him because it's like he's so much better than the people that are featuring him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like. It's like, oh, I'm going to run a race. Let's have, whatever his name, the Bolt guy,
Usain Bolt?
Yeah, Usain Bolt come over here and run too. It's like, no, he's going to leave you in the dust and make you look silly, You could be really fast, but that guy's way faster than you, So, but
like, I'm gonna go sing my very first song, but I'm gonna have Garth Brooks open for me.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's why they set it up that way. That's why they don't have the headliner play first because everybody go home after that. Yeah. They're like, that's who we're here to see. Yeah. All right. So, lastly, what I like to do after you mention your top 5 is I'm gonna go through and read these back to you, and I want you to give me 2 or 3 favorite songs, if you can do it on the fly. Otherwise, you can send them to me later if you don't know titles. So, Michael Jackson.
Man in the Mirror.
Okay, good one.
Thriller.
Nice. Did you ever see I know you've seen the video for Thriller, but there was like a long version where they did like a behind the scenes and they were interviewing that girl that played the love interest in the video. Oh, dude, it's so funny. She's like the ditziest girl of all time. She's just, you gotta watch it. I'm not gonna try to recreate it for you, but you gotta watch it.
And there's that one song where he talks about like taking a bite out of the apple. That's my next pick. That's a really good one.
Taking a bite out of the apple.
Yeah, like You Are Not Alone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Free Willy song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
I don't know if it's on Free Willy. I've never even seen Free Willy.
Free Willy's the one, the Hold Me Like the River Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the same song? No, which one is that?
It's You Are Not.
I know You Are Not Alone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. The two of them are melting together in my head right now, and I can't figure out what the name of that other song is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, You Are Not Alone. Was that on the History album? Or was that on Dangerous? I can't remember which album that was on. But yeah, I know the song.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's a good one. Awesome. Yeah, Michael Jackson, man, you can't go wrong. Even like his last album that nobody's really heard was good.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw the comeback single because they had Chris Tucker in the video where he's like, they're talking about that girl. Ooh, Michael, I bet you can't get that girl, man. I can get him, Chris. I can get her, Chris. No way, Michael, I bet you can't do it, man. You cannot get that girl. Just watch me, Chris. It's awesome. But it's a good song. It's what was it called? Rock? No. Oh man, now I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, yeah, but the new one's good too. There's a lot of good songs in there. But Linkin Park.
In the End.
Yeah.
Crawling and One More Light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Mercy Me.
Even If.
Okay.
And Flawless is a good one. And All of Creation.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Diamond Rio.
Oh man.
We got there, man.
I gotta look up their song names. The first one I can think of is Meet in the Middle.
Okay.
And then probably Beautiful Mess.
Okay. Nice. You relate to that one?
I have to actually think of the lyrics. I just like the the beat and the sound of it.
Right.
I didn't really think I'd ever focus on what the lyrics are. But for sure. The title, Okay. I can look at the title for sure.
And then lastly, Barbra Streisand. I'm just kidding.
My grandmother had so growing up with her, she had a record player.
Okay.
And she had Barbra Streisand and Neil Diamond.
Oh yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even tell you a single song that they sang.
Then she did that whole album with the guy from the Bee Gees too. The Andy Gibb?
I don't know.
I think it was Andy Gibb. Anyway. No, but for reals, Eminem is your last one. So what's some favorite songs from him?
Lose Yourself.
Okay. That's the 8 Mile one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think Stan's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I still get chills when I listen to that song.
Yeah, I've always wondered if that was like a real.
Oh, like something that actually happened to him?
Yeah, or close to something that happened.
Yeah, it was probably. I bet it's like probably not to that extreme.
Yeah,
but he probably gets letters like that all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, people that are mad at him because he's, or whatever. He's not talking back to them or whatever. It's like, do you guys realize this guy's like platinum albums? He's got like billions of fans, and you think he has the time to take your call or to write you a letter? Really? I mean, come on. He's not some local act anymore, And I think we all have to realize that because there's bands that I've seen live that are, when they're in their early days where it's like they are like that. They'll hang out after the show. They're talking to you for hours. They're meet and greet, all this stuff. But then they get to a certain level where they can't do that anymore. Yeah. And it's not because they don't appreciate their fans or they're not happy about it's like they just don't have the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot possibly talk to millions of people after a sold out show with all these seats filled. There's just no way.
Well, because then you think I wonder if they ever think if I do it for one, I gotta do for all type of thing.
Sure.
I'm sure they would love to meet with a couple people here and there.
Yeah.
But the word gets out, oh yeah, this guy, he was able to talk to me afterwards.
Right.
And then everybody, that gets out, and now that's expected.
Yes.
And now it doesn't happen again. They're like, what's up with this guy? And
right.
One good deed that he tried to do.
Yeah.
Now it turns into he's getting backlash for it.
Came back to bite him.
Yeah, came back to bite him. Yeah.
It's horrible, man. So.
What about you? How about you? Tell me some of yours off those lists, or your top 5.
Oh, see, you can't ask me that.
No,
I can't do it. I really can't do it. So I'll start with that one. Every day it's going to be different, but I usually say my all-time favorite band is 15, who you've probably never even heard of.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, they're a punk rock band from the Bay Area in the '90s when they started. So there's a band called Crimshrine. And when Crimshrine broke up, the guitarist singer for Crimshrine started 15, and it's phenomenal, fantastic. I don't know if you'd like it, but a lot of people don't like it, but I love it. And then I would put Five Iron Frenzy, which is a Christian ska band, who I really really like. Man, dude, and then there's bands like REM, who to me is a big deal. I've loved them from their first album to their last album. They're just phenomenal songwriters. Rush, it's another band I really really like. Same, loved them from the early days all the way up until their final album. Shoot, man, I don't know who else I would put in there. It's so hard because there's just so many, and I've always thought to myself what if I had to answer that question. I would have to go through my whole. I mean, it would be like a days-long project for me. I'd have to go through my entire iTunes library, and first I'd have to write down ones I have to write down all the bands that for me are above and beyond, because obviously everything on there I like, or it wouldn't be on there. So I'd have to single out all the ones that were above and beyond. These guys are great, which would probably leave them with a list of hundreds, right? Then I'd have to go through that list and be okay, but these guys are above and beyond, beyond, right? And then I'd have to try to narrow it down. It's I just no way I could do it. It's just crazy, And then you get into the punk rock, which is my favorite genre, and you got bands like NoFX, Bad Religion. Those are some of my all-time favorite bands. So. But then to answer your question about this, Michael Jackson, my all-time favorite Michael Jackson song is called Earth Song, and it was on the History album. There is a video for it. I don't know if you've heard it or not. The History album to me is his best album.
Is that the one where he's really talking about kind of recycling type stuff and saving the earth?
In Earth Song?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of green, kind of hippie-ish, but it's like the animals, like the whole video. The video is very powerful. It shows it'll show an elephant that's had its tusks cut off and it's killed just for its tusks, for the ivory, and they just leave the animal there to bleed out and die. Oh. But then as the song goes on and he's talking about how to fix these things, the camera goes in reverse. And you see the elephant gets up, and it's like the whole idea is like, let's stop this, let's start doing the right things, and let's start, So yeah, it's kind of a hippie green song, which I don't agree with everything in it, but I love the sound of it. But the History album is very political. It's his album where he really lets people have it, big time. Like that's what they don't care about us is on there. The song he did with his sister Janet, Scream, that one's on there. Earth Song is great, fantastic. And then let's see another two. I really like Human Nature off the Thriller album. That's one of my favorites. But I mean, dude, you could go. I mean, there's so many good ones. Man in the Mirror is one of my favorite ones. Also, that was probably the first song I ever. Well, other than Bad, that was one of my first cassette tapes I ever owned. Was Michael Jackson's Bad album. Yeah, and that has Man in the Mirror on it. So what else you got? Linkin Park. Again, I stick with the first album. I would probably say some of the same as you in the end. Crawling. I really like Runaway. What's the first song on there? The first song on that album is really good too. Mercy Me. I really like Spoken For. My Heart Is Spoken For.
That's an older one.
It is an older one. Yeah, I tend to like some of their older stuff.
I forgot about that one.
I Can Only Imagine, obviously. That's probably their most popular song, but the lyrics to that always move me.
Shoot, Spoken For is probably over 20 years old already.
Oh, I'm sure. It's off their second album, I believe. So, yeah. Wow. Well, their second album, once they got popular, I think they had like 3 or 4. Did you ever watch the movie? It's called I Can Only Imagine. It's about that guy's life. Oh. Bart Millard, the singer. Yeah, he had an abusive childhood. Dennis Quaid plays his dad.
No way.
It's a great movie. You should watch it. But it talks all about how they even got where they were. Like nothing was working, and then he wrote that song, I Can Only Imagine. And I forgot how it acted, but like Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith kind of got involved, and like she was supposed to sing that song at something. And then she said to him, no, you need to sing this. You sing it because you wrote it, it's personal to you. And then he sang it, and then they just blew up after that.
Oh, nice.
So, so that's Mercy Me. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. Diamond Rio, I got nothing. I couldn't even tell you any songs that they sing. I remember the band, couldn't tell you anything. Eminem, Marshall Mathers, probably my all-time favorite song. I don't know. What's the one off the next? I think it's off the third album, the Trailer Park Girls one. Two Trailer Park Girls walking around the outside. Yeah, that was that. Guess who's back again? Yeah, that one's awesome. I like his funny songs, where he. And I also like the one where it's like, holy, whatever, Batman. Quick, Andre, to the Batmobile, or whatever. I forgot the exact words or whatever, but that one's cool too. Business. I think that was, let's get down to business. Yeah, that one's cool. And then I like the ones where he talks about his daughter and the emotional strain that it takes on his family when he's gone. Was it is it When I'm Gone? There's one called When I'm Gone, and then Mockingbird is another one where he talks about. There's one that really hits me in the feels because he has a dream, and it's something he's telling Haley that he's not going to leave anymore. He's going to be home, and then he is leaving, and she's like, "Daddy, you lied to me." He's like, "I got to catch a plane. I'm out of here." And then he has a dream that she shows up in another country at the show, and she's like, "I made this for you," and he's like, "I don't have time for that. I need to do this. I need, and it's really emotional. So that one gets me. But anyway, so yeah, that's no one's ever asked me that, dude. No one's ever turned that around on me and said, "Hey, what's your favorite songs on these?"
You're a big music aficionado.
Yeah. So, all right, man, we're jumping to politics next.
Politics. This is going to be the good one.
Yeah, this will be fun stuff. So, so how long have you been a Bernie Sanders supporter?
I've liked Bernie Sanders ever.
You can't even say it. Can't even get through it. I've liked Bernie Sanders since No. So obviously I've talked a lot about a lot of this topics that fall under this blanket of politics, and I think a lot of it you and I see eye to eye. I think you'd probably say you're pretty right-leaning, conservative. But there are some things we disagree on, as we've talked before. So I guess maybe just start by telling me why you're a conservative as opposed to a liberal, or Republican as opposed to a Democrat, however you want to word it.
Yeah, so I might have to answer it this way. I don't consider myself like a political guy.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't tell you political strategies. You know, I can tell you what I think a political strategy would be. But I would say maybe even in the 60s, 50s and 60s, my views would align more with Democrats back then.
Okay. You mean because their views were different then, or you would have been different back then?
Their views are different back then. Yeah.
So the Democrats of the 50s and 60s you think are way different than the Democrats today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know too much about the Republicans. I'm sure maybe.
From back then, you mean?
From back then to now. I just feel like right now, most things that Republicans do, or I shouldn't say do, what they supposedly stand for, I am in line with more of those views and ideologies.
Right.
You know, at the very basis level, like, I know it's not a political issue, but I think it's been politicized. I'm a believer that there should be a husband and wife raising kids.
As opposed to what, husband and husband?
Yeah, as opposed to any type of homosexual marriage.
Okay.
Any type of, I would even prefer it over, obviously prefer it over single father, single motherhood.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like the Republican Party is more about biblical values.
Even if they don't say it that way.
If they don't say it that way.
Right.
Because they are fear of backlash.
Yeah.
They're maybe hidden agenda.
Right. Well, they might even say we don't believe the Bible, but their views come from the Bible, and they might not even realize that.
That's fair to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I know it's not that way across the board. I know there's probably some right or conservative policies that I'd be like, I'm not on board with that, and those might be more financial.
Right. So give me an example of one of those. What would that be?
I hear, right, this is through the media. Okay. And just as a disclaimer, I don't trust any media.
Okay.
I think they all have an agenda.
Okay.
There's an agenda for, hey, I want to push this ideology for this party candidate on both sides of it.
Okay. Republican
and Democrat. But it sounds like Republicans, actually, no, I don't even know. I don't even know if that's true or not. Now I think about it. Cause I hear the term, the Republicans are all about just going to war. They want war.
Right.
Which people know that what does war do? Well, it creates income. It creates jobs. And so it stimulates the economy.
Right. So there's a reason for them wanting to go to war, is what you're saying.
Yes.
To where the critics would say, you guys just want to kill people. You just love violence.
Correct.
That's the only reason you're doing this. Okay.
Yeah. And that can get into a bunch of different routes, you know. Whatever people believe about, was there really weapons of mass destruction in the Bush era? Did we really have to go there, right?
Right.
Under the guise of, we think he has weapons of mass destruction. Then it comes out they didn't really find anything. Who knows the truth, why we went there, but did it create a ton of jobs and it stimulated the economy really well.
Okay. So let me stop you there for a second. Let me ask you about the idea of, I'm with you, I'm very leery of media of all forms, right? I mean, I have some I trust more than others, and I try not to let it be because they align with me, right? Like that's not the way I work with anything. I don't work that way in biblical circles. I don't say, well, I'm going to believe everything this pastor says because I happen to like him. I still always go back to what I see as the truth is the Bible. And I don't care if it's my favorite pastor in the world. If he says something anti-biblical, I'm like, nope, I'm taking the Bible over you. Sorry. But so I do the same thing with media in a sense, even though there really isn't anything tangible like a Bible that you can say, oh, the media said this. Now let me find my book that has the truth on the matter and let me compare what they said to that. You really can't do that, right? So as we watch the news, whether it's CNN or Fox or whatever, you have your right-leaning, your left-leaning news, and of course they're all kind of melted together these days. How, in your opinion, how do we know anything then? If you say you don't trust any media, yet you do have opinions on things and you have beliefs on things, so where are those beliefs and opinions coming from? Because what you just said a minute ago makes sense. We don't know about the weapons of mass destruction. The only people that know that for sure are the people that were there. Yeah. You and I we can only listen to what people are telling us that were supposedly there or know somebody who was or whatever, right? Yeah.
So I don't know if this is really going to make sense or answer the question directly. When it comes to the media, it's almost like I have to work backwards. And I find out, the first thing I look at is, well, one, who are they trying to silence? And who are they just allowing to have free speech, right? And so I think the biggest example that everybody can see now or relate to is they're trying to silence Trump really bad. And they're going through all kinds of avenues and means to do it. Elon Musk, they were trying to hammer him really bad. They were trying to block his purchase of Twitter, which is now X. They were trying to find all these loopholes to not let him.
Well, they didn't want him to have that because they knew he was going to open it up to free speech again.
Correct.
You know? Yeah.
And so when anybody tries to hamper free speech or to silence somebody, it's always a red flag to me. Well, why are you trying to silence them so bad? Right. And it could be because they are spreading misinformation or whatever their reasons are. But I just want to look into it a little more.
And then what do you do? That's what I'm asking. How do you look into it a little more? Like what do you do then?
So there's a couple people that have YouTube and another website called Rumble. Rumble's like a YouTube. It sounds like it's regulated less because I'll watch YouTube videos. They'll be like, hey, this is going to get shut down soon.
Right.
Follow me on Rumble.
Yeah.
So I go to Rumble.
Right.
And I see So when I see those things getting shut down, I think, well, why? Why do they want to shut? They even try to shut down Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
For his views on ivermectin.
Yes.
On COVID. And it's like, well, why?
Right.
You know, and so to answer your question, since I don't trust the media, and there's people who I get the feeling from are they're very unbiased. And they're just giving out facts. They're not leaning one way or the other. Joe Rogan being one of them. He didn't say, hey, everybody, go out and buy this, do this. He's just saying, I did this, and this worked for me.
Right. So there's no gain to him.
No gain to him.
He doesn't work for the pharmaceutical industry to where if he tells people to take ivermectin, that he's going to get some paycheck as a sponsor of ivermectin, right? Yeah. So there's no gain for him. So you tend to trust him a little more. Yeah. Because he has nothing to gain from what he's saying.
Yeah, it's not like he's getting a paycheck from it. Right. Yeah, perfect. There's no gain.
Right.
And so then, he had that guy, I forget the guy's how to pronounce his name. Gupta.
Yeah.
From CNN, who admitted, yeah, we doctored your pictures. We made you look more sick than you were. Right. And he's like, well, why'd you do that? It's like,
that's one of my favorite Joe Rogan clips of all time.
Dude, it's
he backed that guy into a corner, and he had nowhere to go. I loved it.
So even if I don't have what we nowadays call the science to say, hey, ivermectin works, because I can't, I don't have a document on my phone, or I don't have the access to tap into the pharmaceutical companies and get their data sheets,
Right. But even if you did, how do you know that those are true, right? How do you know that they're not doctoring those, biasing those to fit their agenda?
Sure. So what I do is I just go off kind of like, which to me is common sense. What do my own eyes and ears tell me? Right? Like you said. So in my opinion, Joe Rogan didn't have any type of gain from repping ivermectin.
Right.
But he's being shut down for it.
Yeah.
Well, who's shutting him down? Oh, these pharmaceuticals saying don't talk about it. Well, why would the pharmaceuticals do that? Oh, because it's taken away from their profits. You can go buy ivermectin online and get a whole bunch for like $30.
Right.
Or you could go get all this treatment at a hospital.
Right.
You know?
Which is going to cost much more money.
Right. So I just started looking at that. And for me, that's enough to be like, there's something here. And so what did I do? My father-in-law, who's in his 60s, didn't get the vaccine. Not in the best health, right? Came down with what we think was COVID. So we went to an online doctor, got some ivermectin, gave it to him, cleared him up in 2 days.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking, I have Joe Rogan saying this helped him out. I see the pharmaceuticals trying to shut this down. Why? And then with my own eyes, I've physically seen a family member get better from it.
Right.
Ivermectin's perfect for me now. That's enough for me.
That's enough evidence.
Yeah.
One person. So 1 out of 1 is a good enough statistic for you.
Not just the
or I guess 2 out of 2 if you count Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Well, not just that. So that in itself wouldn't be enough.
Okay.
But when I couple that with the trying to shut it down so hard,
right?
Then it's like, okay, well, maybe this 2 out of 2 is a little more.
Right.
Because
what are they so scared of?
What are they so scared of?
Why are they so scared of one person with a huge platform saying that ivermectin helped him get over COVID?
So for sure. So let's say this, like say the pharmaceutical company was like, we took them at their word. They are for our best interest. They just want us to be healthy.
Right.
We want what's best for you. And let's also take them at their word. And this ivermectin was a strictly horse dewormer, is what they were saying.
Right. Yeah.
Well, maybe not a lot of people know, but ivermectin won a prize in the 80s. It's been used for many other things.
Right.
And so let's just say all that was true for argument's sake. And then just Joe Rogan or whoever else took ivermectin accidentally and found out, hey, I took this and it helped me.
Right.
Don't you think someone who really cared about your health was like, wow, it wasn't intended for this use. We kind of accidentally stumbled upon this maybe cure. Let's look into it more.
Right.
As opposed to saying, let's shut it down right now.
Right. Yeah, and that would be the motive of a person who had the health of the public in mind. If they found something, who knows what it was? Maybe somebody spread peanut butter on the back of their neck, and then they got cured of COVID. And then he said, hey, man, I did this. You should try it. And then someone else did it, and it worked. And pretty soon, this whole town is all cured of COVID because they put peanut butter, crunchy, of course, crunchy peanut butter on the back of their necks, and it worked. You would think that the health, what's the company?
The World Health Organization?
Yes, the WHO. You'd think that they would see that and oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Anybody can get this at any grocery store.
Yeah.
We found the cure to COVID. Let's spread this across the media. Let's everybody know. That's what they would do if they cared only about the health of the country and the world. But they don't do that.
They don't.
Because, and this is where I would agree with you, that it seems pretty clear that they are only interested in the money. And they think, wait a minute, if people just spread peanut butter on the backs of their necks and gets cured from COVID, who's going to buy our therapeutics? Who's going to buy all these other drugs that we have to help you feel better while you're dealing with COVID? If they have this one-shot fix, they don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, that's billions of dollars in the toilet, which is sad that people would think that way, because I could not imagine myself ever thinking that way. There is no amount of money that I would try to get if it meant the harm and potentially the death of other people.
Sure.
Like I just don't think that way.
Well, money is the root of all evil.
Yes. Well, the love of money.
The love of money.
Yes. Don't be misquoting scripture now.
That's right. So that's why I think, I know we've had talks about the moon landing. We've had talks about a lot of COVID stuff.
Yeah. But I think the COVID stuff is I would agree with most of what you're saying, and I agree with your method, where you're looking at what we have in front of us, and yes, we don't have everything there is to have. We don't know. We weren't there in the Wuhan lab when the leak, whatever. We don't even know if that's really what happened. That's what it looks like happened, but we weren't there. We don't know. We don't know if Anthony Fauci was funding that lab in Wuhan. It sure looks like he was. There seems to be a lot of evidence pointing towards that, but we don't really know. So all we can do is take what we have and come to our best conclusion that we can come to. A lot of the other things that you and I have talked about, like the moon landing being one of them, I don't see as much evidence to that theory. You know, like somebody says, "Oh, the moon landing never happened," and I said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Oh, well, here's this guy in his basement living with his mom. He's got this YouTube video about it." You know, and it's like that's not enough for me, right? Like with COVID, you're getting all these different sources from all these different places and all these different people. Some on the left, some on the right, some involved in the pharmaceutical community, some that are anti-big pharma. They're like, no, I'm a hippie. I don't take any drugs at all, ever, you know, or whatever. And you're getting a lot of the same consensus from all those different groups. That's why I would probably line up more. So you're just saying there's more evidence there.
Sure.
But before we leave the COVID, I have to mention that you were labeled, and you should wear this badge with honor. At one point, you were labeled as a militant anti-vaxxer.
You saw the article.
You remember this?
You saw the article.
I did see the article. Yes. Yeah. That's classic, man. I've never been labeled as a militant anti-vaxxer before.
That was from our lovely board of supervisors.
Yeah.
Who labeled me that.
So let's hear that story.
So the anti-vaxxer statement is
militant.
Militant, yeah.
I mean, that's like, I mean, you could be an anti-vaxxer, but a militant anti-vaxxer, that's hardcore, dude.
So I was one, because I was willing to give up my career for my freedom of choice, right? To get the vaccine or not.
Right. Like your job was potentially telling you either get the jab or get fired.
It was gearing towards that, yeah. And there was a lot of other fire departments who were doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're a firefighter.
I am.
Just so the listeners know.
Correct.
Because I don't think we've said that yet. Okay.
Yeah, I thought we were going to open with like little something like that, but we didn't.
Yeah. I got no openers, dude. I just let it flow. Whatever flows, flows. That's the beauty of this.
This is the best.
I don't prepare at all. I just sit you down and talk to you, man.
That's the best way to go. It's less scripted that way.
Yeah.
So, it was gearing up towards vaccine mandates.
Okay.
And it hit the public sector. I wouldn't say health sector first, because we deal with people.
Right.
And then it was trickling down to other stuff, you know. And so, an anti-vaxxer, I think it's one of those. What do they call those like terms where, like, say you were, I don't know, say you didn't like the taste of one flavor of coffee. See, I don't like
all flavors of coffee.
I don't like all flavor of coffee.
They're nasty.
This one soda is gross to me. Are you anti-soda? Well, no, there's other sodas that I do like.
Right. So they go to the extreme.
They go to the extreme.
Blanket statements.
It's a blanket statement.
Yeah.
It's unfounded, and it's the way they try to. And this is a little side topic. It's how I feel the tolerant left deals with everything. They go to the you're racist.
Right.
You're a bigot.
Yes.
You're anti this.
Well, that's why I loved that they said a while back, a couple years ago when all that was going on, they said that there's a new definition of racism. And the definition of a racist is anyone who disagrees with somebody on the left.
Yeah. That's very accurate. So I was in fear that my career was on the line. I wasn't going to get the vaccine. I do have vaccines, right?
Which ones? For like?
Whatever I had to get, like rubella, measles.
Yeah.
The ones you have to get to go to school.
Yeah.
My kids.
Chlamydia.
Yeah. Chlamydia vaccine, yeah. My daughters also have those same vaccines to go to school.
Sure.
Now, without saying names, there was a when I was in I was going to say it. I left our union.
Okay.
I'm no longer a union member.
Okay.
Because our union, in my opinion, at that time, wasn't going to fight for the people like me who didn't want the vaccine.
Right.
There was a statement made saying, this is why I got to that conclusion. if you don't want the vaccine, maybe you should find a new job.
Yeah.
So when the union president says that, I'm thinking, well, that's his stance on it.
Right.
He's not going to go to bat for the amount of people who don't want it.
Yeah.
So other agencies were getting mandated, so I addressed the board of supervisors, and I had polled, because I was in a group in my own fire department, as well as neighboring agencies' fire departments, as well as police departments. I talked to, it might have been Wheeler, whoever was the union president at Santa Maria PD at the time.
Okay.
Maybe I just got this guy's information from him. I don't remember who it was.
I don't think he was ever in that position.
And so other agencies had sent me their internal polling. And what their internal polling, one of the questions they asked was, how many of you would walk off the job if we mandated the vaccines?
So now that's interesting that they ask that, because that shows they're concerned, especially in an occupation like the one you have. If everybody in the fire department, let's say the whole county, the whole city, the whole county, they all said no, 100%, say 95% of them said nope, we're going to walk off the job. They can't afford to do that.
You can't.
At that point, they're going to be like, okay, let's not mandate this.
Yeah.
Because they cannot afford to have no fire department or no police department in town. They just can't do it. The city would be destroyed.
Yeah. And so when I went to the board, I had this information with me. And I can't remember all the numbers now. My own department, I want to say 30% of the firefighters were going to walk off the job.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That is a big group that's willing to lose their jobs over that.
Santa Maria PD had 42% willing to walk off the job, according to these polls.
Right.
I forget what the sheriffs had and other agencies, but it was all roughly between the 30 and 40% walk off the job. And so when I went to the board of supervisors and I said, hey, this is, my name's this. My name's Michael Moore. I work for the Santa Barbara County Fire Department. I gave my spiel of why I think they should not mandate it. And then I ended it with, if you guys do mandate it, you will be known for two reasons. You will be known for the board who is responsible for the largest loss of workforce at one time ever.
Right.
And we all know what happens to cities who lose their police force. Remember, like Baltimore, when they were defund the police.
Oh yeah, they're doing great over there.
Minneapolis, their towns went to crap.
Yeah, they're very safe places.
Safe places now. Yeah,
like to walk down those streets at night.
And so, not only being a resident in the county I work in, I got family and friends. And do I want to live in a city where half the police force is gone?
Right.
No. I don't want to do that.
I don't think anybody does. No. That's the funny thing about defund the police.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm not going to go on that side of the tangent, but go ahead.
So I said, you'll be known as the board who has the largest loss of workforce in the history of the county. And also you'll be known as the board who's ushering in a Nazi-like regime. And for people who don't know how the Nazis and Jews went about that, one of the first steps was to make the Jews look like they're dirty people. They're a diseased people.
Right.
They're less than.
Yeah.
That's what gave them the ideology of like, oh, once you can dehumanize or make a certain group of people not worthy or dirty, it makes it easier for you to just discard them.
Well, like slavery or like the South in the early days of this country. Yeah, of course.
And I don't know if you had any instances like that or overheard or heard people tell you, but that's how it started getting.
Sure.
People would look at the unvaxxed. They even had a term for it in the news. The pandemic of the unvaxxed.
Yeah.
And it's like
because that's what Biden said.
Yeah.
Which was funny because that went totally against statistics. Statistics were showing that when we had that second wave after the vaccine was available to everybody, statistically speaking, most of the people that were getting COVID were those that had been vaccinated.
Yeah.
And we talked a minute ago about looking at what we have, everybody says, but then also comparing it to our own personal lives. In my personal life, the majority of the people that I know that have gotten COVID are post-vaccine were the vaccinated.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, So the fact that Biden would say something like that, I mean, obviously Biden's not all there, but I mean, these people are feeding him these things to say. Mm-hmm. He's flat out lying on national television. Yeah. It's the pandemic of the unvaxxed. No, it's not.
It's not.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I dealt with a lot of that. Guys asked me to leave the station I was currently at. Mm-hmm. They felt I was a danger to them. They would use terms like I had no respect for their family at home.
Right.
And so, anyways, the board, no one likes to be associated with Nazis. Right. One board member...
Which is strange, because the Nazis were such wonderful people.
Wonderful people, man, yeah. So when you hit them with that, it puts them, whoa.
Right.
So they try to give me a tongue lashing. Supervisor Das Williams. Not afraid to blast him out there.
Your name dropping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully he listens to this.
I doubt he will, but...
Hopefully someone who listens to this...
I don't think he's one of my 40 listeners. So.
Yeah. Maybe someone knows him who listens.
Maybe.
Yeah, word gets out.
Yeah.
And so he was told to basically calm down during the meeting because he was really going at me with it.
Okay.
Not me personally, he was directing it to the audience because I wasn't the only one who used that terminology. Or
Sure.
I also quoted the Nuremberg Code. A lot of other people's quoted the Nuremberg Code, which for those of you who don't know what that is, I encourage you to look into it. The Nazis were accused and convicted of lots of Nuremberg Code violations, crimes against humanity.
Right.
Coerced vaccines was part of the coerced medical interventions.
Sure.
Was a Nuremberg Code violation.
Yeah.
And so when you start hitting these elected officials with serious stuff like that, they get, And so that's where the term came out. I was a militant anti-vaxxer.
Nice.
Which is crazy because I said my kids got vaccines.
Right. Just not that one.
Not that one.
Yeah, it's like people come out against this one vaccine. I mean, because you have anti-vaxxers. I know plenty of people. Bethany and I like to consider ourselves informed vaxxers. Sure. So with all of our kids, there's certain ones we let them get, and there's some that we don't. There's some we don't think are necessary, then we don't let them get those. Like, I'll just throw out there chickenpox. Our kids have never had the chickenpox vaccine. And we've had the doctors tell us, well, I mean, there could be some kid who's special needs. It's got a weak immune system in the class, and if they're carrying the chickenpox and give it to him, he could die.
Yeah.
And my first thought is like, first of all, how often is that happening? First of all, secondly, we homeschool, so got you there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it's like we're just believers in when we find friends of ours that have the chickenpox, we send our kids over there.
That's how we were growing up. That's what we did.
That's the vaccine. But then some loony bin guy comes out of nowhere and says, well, here's a story. Read this article. This family were doing that, and they sent their kids over there. Guess what happened? Their kid died. I'm like, okay, you know what? Sure. One out of what? 14 bazillion? You know how many people die in car accidents every day? You're saying we should never get behind the wheel? I mean, you got to look at statistics and percentage.
Yeah.
Now, if 50%, if 1 out of 2 kids that went over to get chickenpox from another died, I wouldn't do it.
Oh, yeah.
That's way too high of odds for me. No. But I mean, come on. 1 out of millions? Really? And we're like, no, we can't. You got to get this vaccine. I'm like, no, we don't. So anyway, my point is that there is an anti-vax community. And that's before COVID and all that, there was the belief that the reason why there's such a rise in autism, right? Kids on the spectrum today is because of all the vaccines that they're pumping up with. I don't feel qualified to speak on that because I haven't researched that. I don't know. I have close friends on each side of that fence. I know people that have done the research in depth and have come away with, I 100% guarantee that the rise in autism is directly linked to those vaccines. And then I have other people on the other side of the fence that say, no, I've researched that too. It's ridiculous. All those claims are ridiculous. I haven't done it, so I'm not going to really say where I stand on that. But my point is, when you come to COVID all of a sudden, and this COVID vaccine, which is brand new, hardly had any testing, nobody knows that there's going to be any side effects, yet it's being pushed on the whole country by what you're saying, okay, you can either get this vax or lose your job. You can either get this vax or you can't go to school here anymore. Whatever the case is, right? That's nuts to me.
It's nuts.
Because me personally, I don't take anything. I see on the news, this new miracle weight loss drug. This guy takes this little berry and the fat just melts off while he's sleeping. This guy lost 100 pounds in 2 hours or whatever. It's like, sure, that sounds great, but I'm going to wait 10 years. Because I want to see the long-term studies that say, they lost weight, but they all died from cancer 3 years later. 80% of the people that took that drug. Because there's always that. Because you don't know until you do the long-term data. You just, because you can't know. It's impossible. You can know, this works right now. You can learn that. Yeah, sure. It worked. Look, 90% of the people we gave it to, it worked. Great. But you don't know what's going to happen 10 years down the line. And then that's when we get into things like all these young kids that are having heart problems. They're falling, the captain of the football team, 18 years old, at a game, just falls over dead. Healthy as can be. No diseases. He wasn't on drugs. He wasn't into alcohol. None of that. Just falls over dead. Spikes the ball. Boom, gone.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening 10 years ago. I'll tell you that much. Not on this volume.
Yeah.
But it's not a high volume. But it's higher than it was.
Sure. And what's the one thing that's changed?
Right.
The vaccine.
Right. Well, possibly. Yes. It's possible. I don't know if I'm ready to jump with both feet into that camp. But what I want to ask you is, based on your bosses, I know not all your bosses, but some of the ones you were talking about that were going after you and yelling at you and these things, saying you need to do this, which was pretty widespread. There's a lot of people. I mean, on the high government level, all the way down to local government, even to employer-employee relationships, all this stuff. Why do you think that they were able to convince such a big group of the country that if you don't get this vaccine, you're endangering and potentially killing all these other people with really no data to support that? You know what I mean? Because when COVID first came out, we didn't know anything. It was kind of scary at first. We don't know. Is this like the Black Plague? Is this going to come through and just kill 80% of our country? We didn't know. It was scary. I was cautious at first. But then as we started to kind of see, wait a minute, I'm watching on the news, these bodies are piling up everywhere, supposedly. And all these people are dying. You can't even go outside and breathe or you're going to die. But then I'm looking around my own community. I was like, boy, it must not have hit us yet. Because I know a few people that have died from COVID. But it's small percentage-wise. I know everybody I know's had COVID at least once. And I know like 2 people of all the people I know. So why do you think that is? How were they able to convince people so strongly that they're willing to fire employees without any real solid data or research?
So I have an answer for that. And I have to go back to and I'll tie it into this. It was the reason that someone said we were able to be convinced that the Middle East hated our guts and terrorism and passed the Patriot Act after 9/11.
Okay.
They say as I mean these researchers and people who study this stuff say that when your brain sees something that traumatizes your brain and you're mentally like in shock, whatever you hear soon after that, it's like embedded in you. So when they showed the 9/11 towers coming down and they show this stuff and they keep telling you one thing, it's like it embeds in your mind.
Right.
Because your brain's traumatized.
Yeah, but you can't doctor that. Those towers came down.
Oh, yeah.
You can't make that up.
No, they came down.
Okay.
I think people would say the reason they came down are different.
Sure. Yeah.
So for the COVID one, how are they able to convince such a mass amount of people? If you remember on the news, and I don't remember if Fox did it right away or if they ended up doing, but CNN did it for sure, MSNBC. Remember they had the death toll ticker?
Yes.
And so when you're being fed something on a constant loop and you're seeing the numbers, almost like it's the lottery winnings, next week is going to be this.
Right.
And you see 84,000 people died today of COVID.
Yeah.
It just instills that fear.
But see, for and maybe this is where I'm missing the mark. And I'm assuming that everyone else is like me, or at least most people are like me. When I see something like that, I have questions. I don't just think to myself, 84 people died today. Well, obviously that's guys my age. Obviously that's healthy, fit, no problems in the world people that are right in the prime of life. Obviously all 85 of those people, that's who they were. No, I think to myself, who is it? What's the percentage? You know? And 99% of those people are like in their 80s. The same people that the flu would kill in a normal flu season, right? So that would be the question to ask. It's like, well, wait a minute. That's normal. But which ones do they show you on the news? They show you the guy who's 32, who's a bodybuilder, who eats nothing but salad. He's in the greatest shape of his life. He just ran 4 marathons back to back through Death Valley in 130-degree heat, prime of life. And he just fell over and died from COVID. That's who they show you.
Yeah.
And that's 1 out of a million.
Yeah. And so, but I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but I think you give society too much credit.
Yeah, I'm being seriously sarcastic.
Yeah.
Right?
You do ask the right questions. I'm not saying be skeptical of everything, but ask questions about stuff.
Sure.
I don't think a lot of society does that.
Which I can't fathom.
And that's why...
I don't know how people can live that way.
Well, that's how they... So I was... So to answer your dad, so I think people were very easily, tricked into thinking this is maybe not what it is, or maybe more dangerous than it really is.
Right.
And when you see that constantly, like, oh man, and I remember they had different death toll tickers. It was like what was in the U.S. and what was worldwide.
Right. Well, then when it hit Italy, remember that? I mean, everybody in Italy died.
Everybody died.
I don't think anybody lives in Italy anymore. I think it's just nobody's there. Everybody in that country died.
Yeah.
From COVID.
And then they showed, And then they showed. Remember, there was we're gonna have so many dead bodies. They're gonna bring in like cruise ships and cargo ships, and they were gonna be makeshift hospitals.
Yes. Yep.
What happened to those?
Yeah.
When I used to ref college football, which I did lose my job for not getting the vaccine. I lost that job.
Nice. Attaboy. Way to be militant.
Yeah, militant. Doing that and going to these camps and doing games, I have friends across the nation.
Okay.
In bigger cities and smaller cities. And so I would be texting them early on, hey, are you guys seeing this in Arkansas? Are you guys seeing this over in Nevada? What's it like over in Texas?
Right.
And they'll all be like, dude, it's kind of like how you were saying. It must be everywhere else but here.
Right.
Because I'm not really seeing what the news is telling me.
Yes. There's a disconnect.
It's very much disconnect.
Yeah.
And so, like how you said, and how we talked about earlier, I'm seeing what the news is telling me, and I'm looking with my own eyes, and I'm not seeing it. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just not here. Well, the guys I'm talking to in Arkansas are from Little Rock, their biggest little town.
Yeah.
The guy in Nevada is from Vegas, and the guys in Texas were from El Paso and Houston.
Okay.
And I want to say those are the only states. Maybe somebody in Florida. I can't remember. But I'm thinking, and they're in bigger towns.
Right.
And those guys don't have, they were in jobs where like one works for probation. So they're kind of out in the mix of people.
Right.
And everybody's seeing the same thing I'm seeing, which is opposite of what the news is telling me.
Right.
So then I was like, well, something's goofy here. Something's not adding up. I'm not seeing these massive dead bodies everywhere, And then I start learning about, when you die of COVID in a hospital, you get the hospital, I want to say, got like $16,000 as reimbursement, right?
Right.
But if you died without COVID, then it was like $6,000.
Okay, so see, that is something I need to see that. Because first of all, if that's true, that gives credibility to so much when it comes to COVID. And I've heard a lot of people say that exact thing, but I don't know if that's true or if that's just one person said that and someone else said, "Oh, I have a friend who works at the hospital," because I've had people tell me that. "Oh, I have a friend that works at the hospital, and this is what they told me."
I could try to track down some documents, and I'll find out.
Yeah. Because if that, like I said, if that's true, and the hospitals have that incentive, obviously from a money grubbing standpoint, yeah, everybody's got COVID in here.
And was it boosts the numbers?
Yeah.
It boosts the justification for other stuff. It boosts for lockdowns.
Yeah, because then you could even fudge the numbers and be like, yeah, this guy came in with a hangnail, and we did the test on him, and what do you know? He's got COVID.
Yeah.
And they could even lie about it, because who's really going to know? Who's checking that? Who's checking the blood test?
Yeah.
Or the nose swab or whatever. I mean, who's really checking that?
Yeah.
Is there checks and balances there? No. Or is there just some head nurse going, whoop, COVID, whoop, COVID,
well,
thousands of dollars, woo, we're rich.
Well, then our old boss, without saying his name, because I edited it out, was telling me a story too that his buddy died in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Well, he tested positive for COVID.
Right.
They chalked it up as he died of COVID.
Yeah.
And I've heard of people getting traumatic deaths, car accidents.
Yes.
And then so that started the conversation of, well, are they dying because of COVID?
Yes.
Or are they dying with
COVID. Yes.
And there's a big difference in that too.
Absolutely.
And so I started putting in my own mind, whenever there's a financial gain or incentive, already for me, it's a red flag.
Yeah.
Because then, like we talked about earlier, it's not about really health. It's about how can I make some money off of this.
Right.
And so I started looking more into So we're talking about, do they swab them for COVID?
Yeah.
So my job was making us test weekly. And this is how it got to even more red flags for me and causing me to be more like, this is such garbage.
Yeah.
Everybody on the department had to test, whether you're vaccinated or not. If you were vaccinated, the department would provide a test for you, and you could do it on duty. If you weren't vaccinated, I had to purchase my own test out of pocket and do it off duty.
Oh my gosh. Could they be more obvious?
So it's more of like, okay, I can see the writing on the wall. That's a form of punishment.
Yes, it is.
And so
it's them saying, you know what, you little jerk, you're not going to get vaccinated. Well, take this.
Yeah. Then I got to the point where I was so fed up with it, because when you read, I was using the Binax test.
Yeah.
And there's other home ones you could buy.
Yeah.
Binax, if you look at the ingredients on the swabs, I forgot what the actual ingredient was now. I think there's only 3 or 4.
Okay.
One of them is a carcinogen, which causes cancer.
Right.
Well, where on your body is it very easy absorption? In your nose. So guys do cocaine, you snort cocaine, you do Flonase, everything's it's very vascular.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy absorption rate. So I fought back on that. I said, I am not going to twice a week put a carcinogen up my nose.
Right.
Not doing that.
Right.
So I quit testing.
Yeah.
And that caused a big uproar.
There's more militants.
More militants, yeah. Hey, Mike, we're going to do all these efforts in the fire service to not get cancer, to the point where if I do, it's presumptive because of everything we're exposed to. But here, we want you to go do this twice a week.
Yeah.
Not doing it. And so the test, when you start looking into the test, and I encourage everybody who listens to this to please do your own research and fact check me. No COVID test is calibrated to COVID. There was never able to say, okay, this is what we're going to calibrate it to so we can detect it.
Right.
So every COVID test could come up. If you have the flu, it's a positive test. If you have the common cold, it's a positive test.
Right.
But it doesn't say that. It just says COVID.
Yeah.
So I believe COVID wasn't as gnarly or the numbers were way inflated, because say you had 10 people take a test and 10 came back positive. Well, they would say 10 people had COVID. Well, how do you know 4 didn't have the flu, 3 didn't have the common cold, and 3 actually had COVID?
Right.
There's no way to subcategorize it.
Or 3 had some disease no one knows about yet.
Yeah. And so all these like weird things, there's no way to really pin it down. I always go back to, why do they want everybody to, why are they encouraging everybody to test so much? Well, because they know it's going to be flu season, it's going to be the cold season, and they're going to get all these positive tests. And this is how my mind works. You know that they have that saying, don't let a good pandemic or don't let a good tragedy go to waste.
Right.
Someone's going to capitalize off it.
Sure.
Whether it's the Patriot Act or whether it's lockdowns.
Right.
So I just found all these things fishy, even to the point where they were like, okay, we're going to get this vaccine out there. What and who was funding it initially? Bill Gates was a big proponent of the vaccine.
But he's trustworthy, though.
He's trustworthy.
And, I mean, he's smart. If you're smart, you must be trustworthy. Yeah. And he got a lot of money. That's the guys I trust. Smart guys with lots of money.
Those are the most trustworthy guys out there. And so he's pushing it big time. And I feel like I do feel like it was a depopulation effort, because anybody should go back and look at TED Talks. Bill Gates' dad was on TED Talks talking about how they successfully depopularized a portion of Africa via vaccinations. The vaccines they used then didn't kill them, but it messed with reproductive systems. So they were able to depopulate via or through attrition.
Right.
You have less kids in the future.
Right. See, now this is where I get off the bus. Only because I don't see enough evidence to support that view.
Of what's happening now?
Well, just of the idea that the whole COVID thing was a vast ploy by the United States government to kill off a certain percentage of the population for population control. That's a little far-fetched for me.
Do you think the vaccine, like we talked about earlier, like people dropping dead, do you think the vaccine has killed people?
I don't know. I'm just saying it wouldn't. Okay, so let me put it this way: it wouldn't be shocking to me to learn that a vaccine that hasn't really had a long testing cycle or a long-term side effects studies done on it, because it's so new, that if some people that shouldn't be dying, like young children, 18, 19-year-old kids, will die from it. Sure. But as with any medical new medicine or whatever, I mean, you go back in the country's history, look at all these things we have now that saved thousands and millions of lives. But there's always some casualties, right? And that's when you have to weigh out the pros and the cons. And you say, okay, yes, for the personal family who lost a family member through a vaccine, I'm just using this as an example. This isn't like a real example, but let's say there's a vaccine and there's a disease that kills 80% of the people that get this disease, let's just say. And then they develop a vaccine, and the vaccine kills 0.05 people 0.05% of people that take it. But 99 point whatever percent of the people that take it will never get that disease, right? So there's obviously going to be some casualties. There's going to be some people that do die from the vaccine, but there's also going to be a vast majority of people that are not going to die from that disease. Do you see what I'm saying? So if there's something like that, it's like there's always going to be repercussions. There's always going to be side effects, right? That's why every drug you buy, even over-the-counter stuff in the store, it always says rare side effects could be this, and a lot of them say, and even death. I'm like, hey, I just want my stomach cramps to go away. I don't need a possibility of death, right? But we take that stuff. Why? Because we know the chances, percentage-wise, of anything tragic happening to us is so slim. Could it happen to you the first time you take it? Absolutely. You could be that statistic. You could be that one person, and then we will all talk about you when you're gone. Oh, man, I got a friend, and he took this X-Lax stuff, and he just died an hour later. You know? Right? So, I mean, so yes. So to answer your question, I don't know. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. I don't see enough. But if we're going to go with the theory that they're trying to do population control through this vaccine, then I would think there'd be a lot more people dying from it. Because killing off 0.01% of the population isn't really population. There's more people that have been born in the time of the few rare instances of young 18, 19-year-old kids dying from supposedly the vaccine. You see what I'm saying? That's not that doesn't fit the population control model.
Well, I feel so. There was a doctor who I listened to early on, and he said it's not like it's a time release thing, but the way it'll affect your body, he said between 18 months and 3 years is when you'll start seeing people.
Right. So 2020 is when the vaccine rolled out. Right? 2020?
Yeah.
So we're at 2023. So let's say we get to 2025. And the percentage of these unknown cause of death in 18 to 25-year-old young men is still below 1%. Would you abandon the idea at that point of the government trying to kill people for population control?
No, I would. Okay, no, I wouldn't abandon it, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't think it's going to. I think some people will pass away from the vaccine, but I think it's also a thing of where, kind of like what they did in Africa, because I've seen a lot of miscarriages on the job now.
Miscarriages of like pregnant women?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My oldest daughter was telling me that her friend has 2 healthy children, but her husband was in the military and they live on base, and so in order to stay living on base, they had to get the vaccine, and now she can't get pregnant again.
Okay. So you're saying the population control then is more involved with like reproductive stuff?
I think it's going to be a mixture of a lot of things.
Like it's making like men sterile, or it's making women barren, or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And you think as time goes, okay, so let's use that same thing then and go 10 years down the road. Let's say the percentage of that is less than 1%, and our population numbers have grown drastically from say 2023 to 2033. At that point, do you say, I was wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll call you up in 10 years.
Yeah. I was wrong. Yeah. Now, if I'm wrong, then I still have to answer, like, this is still a thing. Why was it there's so much coercion to get it?
That's because it's okay. Yeah. So there's the fear factor of it, right? They scare the American people into thinking if you don't get this vaccine, you're going to die. That's scary. It's scary for me, for my parents who are older. It's for my children. I mean, because they're saying, "Oh, kids need to get it too," because they could, that's scary stuff. You and I are both fathers.
Sure.
We know that we're going to try to do what is the best for our family, for our wife and our children, to protect them from anything, right? So we're the ones that have to look at this stuff and go, okay, well, what is this vaccine? That's where the research comes in. Where I was going with that.
About the coercion. Everybody's coerced.
Oh, coercion, right. So the fear factor. So they scare everybody. But the question I always come back to is, what is the reason? Now, financial makes sense, right? If they're trying to sell this vaccine. But the funny thing is, those vaccines are free for most people. I mean, they're readily available for anybody. So who's making money off the vaccine? It's not Big Pharma. There's no money being given to that. You think they make more money off therapeutics. You think they want to keep people sick with COVID if they were trying to make money, because then people would be buying the products that are going to make them feel better while they're dealing with COVID.
Yeah, so I forgot who said it. It might have been Candace Owens or Shapiro or one of those people, or
one of those
Charlie Kirk. Yeah,
one of those right-wing nut jobs.
Right-wing nut jobs. Yeah, they say it's a free vaccine, but I think it's not truly free. Even though we're not physically paying for it, it's being funded out of taxes. It comes from tax dollars. Okay. So they're still making a ton of money off of it. Okay. And I want to say what Pfizer made, actually, it was like $50 billion 1 year off the vaccines. That I don't know if that's an accurate number, but I know it was
but if you took, let's take that number. Let's say $40 billion they make in 1 year, and we say that it's our taxes. Okay, so if you take the number of people that are taxpayers in our country, which is probably a couple billion, right? Or however many, I don't know, what's the population of the Earth right now?
Like the Earth?
Of our country.
Oh, it's like 345 million.
So we're not even in the billions. Okay, so you take 300, whatever. Those aren't all taxpayers. Some of them don't have jobs. Some of them are underage. Some of them are elderly and retired, whatever. So it's probably 1/4 or 1/5 of that number that's actual taxpayers. And if we're saying that Pfizer's making $40 billion, how much more that would be an astronomical jump in our taxes we're paying. Like, we'd be looking at our paychecks going, holy crap, what do you mean there's an extra $500 taken out of my paycheck?
Yeah.
Like, we would notice that. And I haven't seen anybody that's saying that. I mean,
I would. This is just me guessing, because I don't know that answer. But I would guess, just off the top of my head, it's just like a shell game. Maybe we're gonna take money from the roads. Maybe you're gonna have crappy roads longer, or maybe the schools are gonna get worse.
Okay.
And we're gonna
which they have been.
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
Or whatever it is. Your insurance rates are gonna go up.
Okay.
I think those monies come. It's just a different slice of the pie,
which is pretty smart if you're the people. If we're assuming these people are doing that, because then you're doing it in such a way that nobody really notices it.
They got some
right.
smart people.
They're not going to drive over one more pothole and be like, oh, I guess it's the Pfizer people.
Yeah.
They're jacking me for my money. They're taking my money that should have fixed this pothole, and they're putting it towards something else.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two more things I want to touch on too, because this is awesome, dude. This is just really cool dialogue. Another thing I want to touch on before we leave politics is I want you to tell the story of what you just told me a while ago about what happened with your daughter's school.
Oh.
And going in there with that. And then we'll talk about that for a little bit.
Sure.
Because it's cool because you have firsthand experience with that. You're the first person I've ever met that's actually... Because you see that stuff on the news. You hear about it happening. You actually had it actually happen to you.
Yeah. So I picked my daughter up at... Orchid Junior High.
Oh, no.
Principal's name is Joe Schmidt. Vice principal... I forget the vice principal's name.
Yeah. You're gonna get me canceled, man. They're gonna yank my show off the air.
Yank my show off the air. I picked my daughter up, who's in 8th grade, from school. We're driving home. I said, "Hey, kiddo, how was your day at school?" And she goes, "Dad, it was good, but there's this boy they allow in the girls' locker room." So I flip a U-turn right away, go back to the school.
So you drop her off.
Huh?
You're on your way home. And she texts this to you?
No, I pick her up from school. After school.
Oh, she's already with you. It tells you about it. Then you turn around.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so we're driving home together.
Gotcha. Okay.
"Hey, kiddo, how was your day at school?" She's telling me how her day was. There's this boy who's able to change in the girls' locker room. Turn back around with her to go talk to the school.
I could just see that.
Yeah.
Almost causing an accident.
Yeah.
Flipping a U-turn.
On Clark Avenue, yeah. And so I've had interactions with the staff before over masking policies and stuff like that.
Because you're a militant anti-vaxxer.
Militant anti-vaxxer.
Everybody knows who you are. You're just a big troublemaker.
Anti-establishment. That'd be good for, what was that band?
Rage Against the Machine.
Rage Against the Machine. Yeah. So, turn back and I asked the staff, I'd like to meet with the principal. Principal was busy at the time, so they let me into the vice principal's office. Oh man, I wish I could remember her name because I'd put her out here too.
That's all right.
You're like, no, I'm gonna bleep that part out.
Yeah.
So the conversation started, and I had Jenna right by my side the entire time. Hey, when did you start letting boys in the girls' locker room? She says, "We don't. That's never happened." And I said, "Well, that's not true. My daughter tells me that there's this kid named Ben who you allow in the girls' locker room." And she goes, "Oh, he goes by Mina."
Well, she probably said she.
She might have said that, yeah.
Right,
she goes by Mina. I forgot how she worded it. And in our systems, he's not a boy, he's a girl. And I said, "Well, I don't care what your system says. And I don't care what mental disorder his parents play along with at home.
Right.
He's a boy.
Yeah.
And you're letting him in a girl's locker room." Nope. He's not a boy. He identifies as a girl, and that's where he wants to change, or that's where she wants, whatever she worded it.
Yeah.
It just seems so natural for me to keep telling him he.
Right. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she says to me that it's right away she starts throwing out those words. "I'm intolerant. I'm
you're a bigot."
She's I'm those words.
Transphobic.
And as long as they're all inclusive. They use these buzz terms, all inclusive. Everybody's welcome. Everybody needs to feel safe. And I said, and I think because I used the word mental illness.
Yeah.
Or mental disorder.
Yeah, it sounds derogatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're ragging on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that conversation went on for a few minutes. And I tried to really pigeonhole her into the truth. And I said, well, how do you sleep at night knowing that there's a boy in the girls' locker room? She couldn't get off the fact that it's not a boy.
Right.
So finally I said, does he have a penis? She goes, I don't know. I was like, no, he's 13 or 12, however old he is.
Right.
You know he does.
You know he hasn't had any kind of surgeries or anything. Yeah.
You know he does. You just don't want to say anything.
Right.
She asked me to leave. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not leaving. There's no resolve here.
Right.
Well, we need to get the principal here. Bring him in.
Yeah.
Principal comes in.
Oh, he's arrived now.
He's arrived now.
Okay.
And so now it's the principal, the vice principal, and Jenna and I.
So Jenna's in there with you for all this?
Yes, here's it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And before, I make a little disclaimer. I went to the school when Haley went there and made a big deal about Haley being booted out of class for having her mask under her nose. And I knew I was going to have some words, so I had Jenna with me again, and I gave her my phone, and she filmed the entire interaction.
I want to see this. You still have it somewhere?
I don't have it anymore.
Oh,
no.
Killing me, man.
And so I wish I would have had her film this one, too.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was going to go squirrely.
Yeah.
And so now the principal's in there, and right out the gate, I said...
Wait, hang on. You didn't think it was going to go awry? You thought you were going to walk in there and say, excuse me, yes, I hear that you have a kid who's a boy in the girls' locker room changing, and they're going to say, what? What's his name? And you're going to say, oh, it's this person. And they're going to say, oh, let me get on top of this and get him out of there right now. I thought that was going to happen. That was lame of me to think that. I forgot what reality I'm living in now. Right. Oh. So the principal's in there now, and I said, I have an issue with a boy, or I think at this point, now everybody says, his name. Mm-hmm. I have a problem with Ben being in the girls' locker room and changing. Right. I was met with this: quit calling him Ben. His name is Mina. Yeah. I said, no, it's not. This is his name. Yeah. I started going down the road of why are you pandering and why are you letting this little kid run a train on you? Mm-hmm. Why do you let him call the shots? Yeah. Why don't you just sit there and tell him, hey, I'm sorry that you think you're something you're not. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that your parents even play along with it. That's a form of child abuse. Right. And I'm sorry you're confused or whatever it is you think you are, but you are going to change in the boys' locker room. I'm sorry, man. And you told him, why don't they say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, because, and then he starts going down these buzzwords again. We're all inclusive.
How inclusive are you to all the girls, biological girls who feel uncomfortable with the biological boy in there?
That's what
Are you inclusive to them?
They're not.
Because there's probably more of those than there is the one who wants to be in the girls' locker room and pretend to be a girl.
And so I went down that road. Mm-hmm. I said, after he said, his remedy was, if Jenna feels uncomfortable, we can find another place for her to change. And I said, why don't you tell the boy to go somewhere else?
Right.
And then he starts going down, well, there's state laws, there's this and that.
And that's what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. Their hands are tied sometimes. They can't, even those people you're talking to, they might in their mind completely agree with you. But they can't say that because they're scared of losing their job.
Yeah. And so that is I don't even know the lady's name, so I can't say it.
Yeah.
But one of the staff who hears everything, who's seen me have issues with the COVID stuff, who's seen me had issues with this cross-dressing kid stuff, sits 2 rows in front of me in church.
Oh, nice. Nice.
But not once has she ever been like, give me a wink on the way out, like, good job, I got your back. It's almost like she's on their team.
Yeah. Once we turn this off, you're going to have to tell me who that is, because
Yeah.
We go to the same church. So
yeah.
By the way, I didn't even know you were there Sunday.
Yeah.
Bethany told me last night.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, all 4 of them were there.
We saw her.
Did you have softball right after or something?
No, we
Why don't you hang out and have a hot dog, man?
We did. We got a hot dog.
Shut up! I was out there the whole time. I didn't see any of you.
We got 2 hot dogs, and then we went and got our Christmas tree, and then we started running errands and stuff.
Did you see me after church at all?
No, I saw you walk
outside.
In. I saw Bethany walk in first.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, because you came in like way after her.
Well, because my cousin was in town from Ridgecrest, and her son is 4.
Oh yeah.
We had to go drop him off, and then we came. Her and I came in after that.
I even talked to your mom after church,
dude. That's so weird, man.
Yeah. So
okay. Anyway.
So but I saw you come in way late, so I remember thinking like, oh, maybe he's not coming today for some reason. Okay.
Yeah.
So
anyway, she sits right in front of you in church.
Yeah, my friends. Yeah. So I'm talking with the principal, and his hands are tied basically. Yeah. State law's coming down.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how are you inclusive to Jenna?
Right.
Because he said we can't discriminate. Another buzzword.
Yeah, there you go.
I say, well, then how do you justify discriminating against Jenna? You have my daughter saying she feels uncomfortable.
Yes.
That a 13-year-old, or how old he is, 14, boy.
Yeah.
How you can take care of her? Because when I drop my kids off, there is this assumption that you're going to provide a safe space.
Absolutely. And the thing is, dude, if they were to talk to all the other girls in that locker room, and they were all honest, I bet you the vast majority of them would have the same opinion as Jenna.
Oh yeah.
They would say, actually, no, we don't. It was like with Leah Thomas, the swimmer, right? Once one of the teammates started speaking up about it, because they were all told, you don't say anything bad about this. You're going to go with this. Leah's going to swim on our team. You do not say anything bad. But then after time, a couple of them started speaking up. And once a couple of them started speaking up, almost the whole team was starting to say, you know what? Yeah, we're not comfortable with this.
Yeah.
We do not want a biological man in swimming in the women's with us.
Yeah.
For many reasons, right? So they're catering to the minority in that case.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they should take this kid who believes he's a girl to be and they should treat him harshly or be mean to him in any way. No, I'm not saying that at all. But why are you so protective of his feelings? And you couldn't care less about the feelings of most of the girls in the locker room.
Yeah.
Why is everybody catering to the minority, to the small percentage of the population who believes this is okay?
Yeah.
That's what I can't fathom. I don't get it. Why are their hands tied in that way? It should be the other way.
Yeah.
Right? It should be the parents of this trans kid who are fully on board supporting their child in this transitionary phase, whatever they want to call it. That's what we should be seeing in the news. Those parents are filing lawsuits. That's what it should be. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. It's the majority is having to file lawsuits because they're catering to the minority. It doesn't make any sense.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And so I went down that road too. I started trying to, like I said, pigeonhole him into normal, give me an answer. And I told, hey, you're the reason why a lot of people can't stand public schools.
Yeah.
You're the reason why homeschooling is rocketing.
Yep.
Because they don't want to deal with the crap that you subject our kids to.
Absolutely.
I say, you guys even go as far as to put up locked gates because you're scared of a mass shooter.
Yeah.
And the analogy I used with him, I said, you guys are like that little icon you see at the gas station when it says, when you put in your debit code and it has a little hands like, oh, cover your code, don't let anybody see your PIN. I was all like, the threat is from somebody over my shoulder. The threat's inside here.
Yeah.
With someone with the software.
Right.
The threat isn't from outside. The threat is you guys perpetuating this.
The threat is inside the locked gates.
The threat is inside the locked gates. And that's when he said, I had to leave. And I said, absolutely not. I am not leaving until we have some type of resolve here with where my daughter's going to change it. I feel comfortable what you're going to do.
Right.
If you don't leave, I'm calling the cops. Call the cops. And that's how that went down.
So they called the cops.
Yep.
They busted through the windows with their batons. They threw you on the ground. They beat the crap out of you. And now you're dead.
Helicopters. Or Ice Cube calls them the ghetto bird.
Yeah.
So three sheriffs show up. One I knew just from running calls with them.
Right.
2 I didn't know. They went and spoke with the principal. Only lasted a couple minutes. asked. Now I'm still I'm inside waiting for all this to happen, shakedown. They asked me to come outside. So it was me and 3 sheriffs outside. My daughter stayed inside. And so they said, hey, so what's the deal? And I said, well, they're letting this kid who's confused, thinks he's a girl, change with my daughter. And I think it's inappropriate. I think it's child abuse. I think it's crap. I trust this school when I drop my kid off to provide safety for everybody, including my daughter. And they're subjecting her to some immoral stuff, and I'm not down with it as a parent. They all had their body cams on, and so they played the line like, hey, they're very black and white.
Yeah.
Hey, the school wanted me trespassed and citizens arrested
because they asked you to leave and you wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
So it's the same when I work at the library. If somebody's breaking a rule or whatever, and we ask them to leave for the day, if they stay there, they're officially trespassing, so they can be arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So same concept.
So they wanted me trespassed, and I said, well, do you see how this is playing out? I speak out against a certain agenda, and I'm threatened with arrest.
Yeah.
Do you see that playing out? Can you see it?
Yeah.
And they didn't, because their body cams were on, I think. They were kind of like, hey, we're black and white here.
Yeah, they gotta be careful.
Be careful. And so I kind of joked. I say, well, if you agree with me, kind of give me 1 wink. If you disagree, give me 2 winks type thing.
Right.
They weren't playing around.
Right.
And I said, well, come on, officer. I know the law as far as that, just like you. They can only trespass me if I don't have business here.
Right.
When my daughter's here, I have business here. Now, whether they like my business or not,
right,
that's not up to them.
Yeah.
They can't trespass me because my daughter is here.
Yeah.
I know. We explained that to them. But that's just the level these schools.
You got to tell them what the law is.
The level. That's just an example of you start questioning very hard questions that they can't or don't want to answer. They immediately go to, we're going to arrest you. We're going to silence you.
Right.
And so the cops, I can tell by their vibe and how they were saying, and the 2 that weren't talking to me, they were on board with me. They actually said this to me. They said, hey, Mike, I respect your willingness to fight for your daughter.
Yeah.
For what's right. But unfortunately, you're picking a fight with the wrong people. It's above them.
Which is true. Yeah.
You have to go to these board meetings. You have to go to legislation.
Yep.
And I said, well, you know how that goes. I'll go to legislation. I'll get a hearing in 4 months. And then next thing you know, 3 years have gone by. And this stuff still is getting embedded while I've been in this limbo of waiting for results, they're still pushing this crap on our kids.
Right.
So at the end of the day, obviously I didn't get arrested. They didn't trespass me. And one of the officers came by the station a couple days later. I was in class, so I didn't get to see him. And told another guy I work with, hey, let Mike know that I 100% have his back. I think he's doing the right thing.
Nice.
All this is nonsense.
Okay.
So like we talked about earlier, like the Leah Thomas thing.
Yeah.
I think for people like me or you who know what's right, if we self-censure ourselves and we're scared to speak out because we think we're the minority,
right.
The truth is there's a lot of people who feel the way we do.
Yes.
But they're scared to speak out.
Absolutely.
I'm just the guy who's not scared to speak out.
Right.
And do it.
Right. So where does it stand now as far as, is this other student still allowed to be in the girls' locker room?
Yep.
Okay.
Nothing's changed. Oh, so Jenna had told me that some other parents were upset about it too.
Good.
And so
that's what it's going to take.
Yeah. And so I talked to one of them. I talked to 2 parents. And Jenna must have got some wrong information because when I told them about it was the first time they heard about it.
Yeah.
So what these schools are doing is they're just doing everything under secrecy.
They're trying to hide it.
They're trying to hide everything.
Absolutely, because they know there's going to be outrage.
Yeah.
And they know that if they have 30 parents show up down there, they got a bigger problem on their hands than just a militant anti-vaxxer.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so real quick, we got in 5 minutes now. In the last 5 minutes, the political section, you're going to convince me that the moon landing didn't happen. Go.
Ooh.
Hit it.
So I can't convince you, obviously.
You can if there's evidence.
That's the thing. We talked about this at lunch that one day.
Yeah.
The evidence Same thing with the COVID vaccine hurting people. I don't have that evidence. All I have is a lot of other things that point to.
So let me stop you there, though. So are you saying that, because we kind of just discussed this, where I'm with you on the COVID thing, I can't go all in with it, but I can point myself in that direction because to me there's overwhelming evidence from all these different sources. Okay? I can't say 100%, but I'm pretty close because of all the different evidences. So are you telling me that in your mind, the moon landing not happening has as much evidence as the COVID thing?
I would say no.
Okay.
No, I would say no. So this is why I think it didn't happen.
All right.
So if you looked at the year, I think we landed it was in the 60s.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have done it, right?
It was 69, I think.
Might have been. The conservative twins, or the Hodge twins, you heard of them?
Yeah.
They had... Candace Owens has a pretty good argument about this too. So some of this stuff I'm stealing from them. Other stuff I'm stealing from my own personal. I guess it's more on personal. And then my dad has some.
Yeah, but issues. you can't name drop someone that I like Candace Owens, and just think that I'm going to be like, oh, Candace Owens thinks so too. Well, I'm on board.
Yeah. I didn't know you like Candace Owens.
Yeah, as much as I do like Candace Owens. I don't agree with everything she says. There's nobody alive other than Jesus that I agree with everything they said.
Gotcha.
Nobody. So
me neither. Me too. Yeah. So if you look at when it happened, it was a big race between us and Russia to get there.
Yeah.
And what other great way to show how powerful we are is if we got there first.
Yeah.
That in itself, hey, whatever.
Sure.
Maybe we did get there first.
That's potential motive.
Sure. Right? And then so that's a motive of why somebody would fake it. Not saying, and just to give you percentage, so I would say that's even a very low percentage. I mean, that's like 3% motive, right?
Right.
So my dad is the guy at Vandenberg who is in charge of when they launch a rocket or when they don't launch.
Okay.
So if you have a launch at whatever, he's the one. So what he does is he tracks all the space junk floating around the Earth.
Yeah.
And they have a projected date, from what I understand, of when, hey, we're going to launch next week at 4 p.m. Well, if that window of space junk has a big enough hole where they can successfully launch, then they'll do it. And so if it doesn't, if there's something flows in the middle or something's going to interfere, then they'll scrap the launch.
So his job is to say the sky's clear enough to do this or it's not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so I asked him one night, we had dinner, and I said, hey, do you think the moon landing happened? And he said, I think so. And I said, and this guy has, and I don't say this too, because I don't believe education makes people smart.
Right.
But he has 2 master's degrees.
Your dad does?
Yeah. In all this stuff, in aeronautics type stuff.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so he's been, I say, like Cape Canaveral to help with launches back there too. So he's very dialed, and he's been doing this job for a bazillion years. He said this. He goes, Mike, I don't know if it happened or not, but if it did, back then in the 60s, or no, he goes, when we launch now, every last pound is accounted for payload wise. You got to figure out how much thrusters you want to have up there, how much fuel to have. Everything's got to weigh a certain amount. That's why astronauts have to weigh a certain amount, It's every weight is accounted for. And that's nowadays. He goes, but in the 60s, they supposedly took a flag up there with them and a flagpole and a golf club and a ranger. He's like, if we're so meticulous on how much things weigh to send into space now, it's hard to believe they were able to take extra stuff up there with them way back then,
right?
When technology was a lot worse.
Yeah, but couldn't it be that they were amateurs in that field at the time, so they were doing stupid things like that, like taking things that they shouldn't be taking, and
for sure,
like they probably know better now than they did.
Yeah, maybe they just got lucky, right?
Yeah,
maybe that could be for sure.
Yeah.
So is that another thing? Like, oh, they didn't land? No. It's just another one little thing. Like, okay, maybe not.
Right.
Now, the most of it is from Candace Owens brought this point up, or maybe the Hodge twins did when they were commenting on what she said.
Yeah.
The moon is what they said 26,000 miles away from the thing.
Yeah, from the Earth.
From the Earth.
Right.
Candace Owens says, and the Hodge twins, oh yeah, they somehow lost all the original footage of the live footage of it going up.
Yeah.
Okay, well, does that tell me something? People lose things all the time. Who knows? But they brought up a point that goes, for those people who were alive and watched it, they say they watched it happen live.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that spaceship was going 1,000 miles an hour, then it still would have took them 26 hours to get there. The capabilities in the 60s, you couldn't watch a live feed that long for 26 hours. If it's going 500 miles an hour to get there, and who knows how fast it went, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's assuming that the whole thing was broadcast. Mm-hmm. Like, who would want to watch that?
Yeah.
Even if they did that today, okay, we're going to do a launch, it's going to be 26 hours, and the whole time the screen just going to be watching this rocket shooting through space.
Oh, yeah.
People would watch that for maybe 5 minutes.
Sure. Just maybe the launch.
The launch, they want to see if it's going to blow up. They want to see if any. But once it's like just doing the same thing, nobody's going to. I mean, I don't even think they would televise that for 26 hours, whether or not they had the capabilities to do so.
Mm-hmm. So I agree with you on that, too. Yeah. So does that make me think? No, I don't think so either.
Yeah. Well, what does, Mike? You've given me three things that don't make you think it is. I want to know what does make you think
because they keep adding up to the pinnacle.
Okay. Well, let's get to that pinnacle. But
they said Elon Musk, a couple years ago, I think in 18 or 19, remember he was trying to launch a rocket and then re-land it?
And exploded, didn't it?
Yeah, exploded a couple times, Yeah. And so they say jokingly, if Elon Musk, with all the technology we have now and all the advancements, if he messed up, how in the 60s were they able to land it perfectly the first time?
Right.
On the moon.
Yeah.
Because it showed the live footage of it landing perfectly.
Right. That's not the pinnacle, is it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good, because that's pretty bad.
And then...
This is poor science, Mike.
No. So then, so now I'm saying all these things are coming, oh, that's suspect. That's suspect. Oh, yeah, let me question that too.
Well, I would say it's even suspect that those things are suspect.
How come?
Well, because, I mean, it's like, well, I mean... They couldn't have landed it perfectly. Well, sure, they could have landed it perfectly. Even if the odds were 1%, it's still possible. That's not suspect. I mean, come on. Oh my gosh, please.
How come that 1% didn't happen with all the latest technology?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make something suspect to me. I mean, that's ludicrous.
It makes it, to me, that's suspect.
Yeah.
And then then they show pictures of no other stars, and it's just a black screen.
Okay.
If you're out there, how is there no other stars in these pictures? I don't know. So that's another thing to say. Well, that makes me think too. Why? The last thing I think though is if we're so into exploring, we want to go see the Titanic, we want to go to the Marianas Trench, we want to go all these places. Has it been 60 years? How come we haven't gone back?
To the moon?
To the moon. Maybe because we don't have the technology to.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So all those things on top of...
Well, but I mean, that could be... I mean, because what are you going to get there?
What?
I mean, if the whole point was just to do it, right? Let's do it. Let's just go to the moon, especially if they're trying to beat Russia. I believe the space race was a real thing. I think they were competing to get there first. Absolutely. So they got there. Is there resources up there that we can use? Is the moon made out of cheese? No, it's not. So I mean, what are they What are they getting from the moon? Nothing. Yeah. The whole point of going was to go. So if that was the whole point, and you've already done that, then what else are you going to do? I mean, yeah, maybe take samples. What? I mean, like, so what reason would they have to keep going? Now they're talking about trying to get to Mars. Now they're talking about, exploring, Elon Musk is talking about these trips to Mars and back that they can take and all this other stuff. That's kind of like the progression of it. It's like, we've already been to the moon. We didn't find any people there. We didn't find any food. We didn't find anything we could use on Earth. Yeah, we brought home some rocks, whatever, moon rocks or whatever. Okay, what are those doing? They're sitting in a museum somewhere. It's like, oh, look, a moon rock. It's not helping society in any way. It's not helping the world. It's not like, I would use that same philosophy as, well, why do we keep trying to go deeper in the ocean? We've already been to this. But they haven't. Like, they haven't been. And I understand what you're saying. They haven't been to every single part of the moon, possibly, right? But you talk about something like the Marianas Trench. dude, like 90% of that is undiscovered, and probably more than that. I think it's even more than that. They said they have no idea what's down there. There's creatures down. That's the other thing with the ocean. There's living things in the ocean. So if you're going into deep crevices in the ocean, you're probably going to discover new species of animals and stuff. Who knows? Maybe you'll find Atlantis down there, or you'll find like mermaids or something, or whatever. Who knows? maybe that's where the aliens really live.
Yeah.
Right. And they got this, and we keep looking up in the sky, and in reality, they're coming up out of the sea and then flying over and abducting people and stuff. I mean, who knows? I mean, to me, the possibilities there are endless at this point. To the moon, it's like, all right, it's up here. We got some gray dirt. All right, whatever. So put a flag in there. Okay, we did it. See ya. We'll be back some other time. So
I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
But with the whole space race, I wasn't alive then.
I wasn't either.
So I don't know,
I'm not that old.
I don't know what the space race was even about. Like, why it was so important to be there first.
Well, it's a pride thing. I mean, it's like because we were competing with Russia and who was better.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's like Rocky IV. Right. You got Ivan Drago against the American. Right. It's like who's better, Russia or America? It's like it was like an Olympics game almost. It's like who can get to the moon first?
Yeah.
Who's better at space exploration?
Yeah.
So it was a pride thing.
But I think something had to be at stake other than pride just to get there first. I think there's...
Well, discovery, too. Yeah. Because they didn't know. Maybe you're going to get up there are going to be some little green men running around. Maybe the moon is made out of cheese. Maybe that's mozzarella. The best cheese in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe the pizza with moon cheese would be just... I mean, you could sell those things for $1,000 a pop.
Moon cheese pizza.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly. So, all right. Well, I'm not convinced on that thing.
And my just distrust over other stuff, like the JFK stuff.
Right. You think the JFK stuff is connected to the moon landing?
No.
Okay.
I just think it's... So I've been reading this book called The New World Order.
Yeah.
It was written in the 90s by some colonel in the military about Freemasonry. And that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's a whole other... Yeah, we don't have time for that.
No.
So, obviously, we talk the most about God and spirituality. So, I mean, I already know where you're at. So, maybe give, just for the listeners, just a kind of a brief, story of, because you were at one point involved in the church, and then you weren't, and then now you're back. So just kind of, just give a brief of that, and then we'll kind of get into some church issues and Bible issues and stuff.
Yeah. So I've always believed in a God. And I want to say, so I think there's a big difference in believing in God and knowing God.
I mean, like believing God exists versus having a relationship with Him.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used to be, my first experience in church was just going to Sunday school at Foursquare. When I would see my dad every other weekend, that's the church he went to at the time, so I just went there.
Gotcha.
And that was a young age. That's more like, maybe 8 or 9.
Okay.
So it was just like coloring and doing stuff. I don't remember.
Coloring a picture of Noah's Ark or something.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly, yeah. Coloring a rainbow or something.
Yeah.
And then I started going to an apostolic Christian church with some childhood buddies of mine. And
you're not allowed to wear pants there, right?
No pants there.
No.
Tank tops only.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when I went to that church, I remember having my first miracle happen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard this story.
So I used to suffer from migraines.
Okay.
I used to get migraines a lot. And for any of you who have migraines, they're very different than headaches. It's like I want to drill a hole in my head, relieve the pressure, and nauseated, and any type of light was excruciating. So one day we were going to go to church, and I couldn't because I had a migraine.
How old are you at this point?
Probably 14.
Okay.
14, 15. And I would get them routinely. I would have to go to I remember going to get shots of Demerol at the ER.
Oof.
Just to ease the pain. And so they said, hey, let's just go to church, man. Let's just go to church. I said, I can't even move. Any type of light is killing me. let's go and we'll pray for you.
Mm.
So, all right. So we went down there and they prayed for my migraines.
At church?
At church.
Okay.
Never had one since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's heavy, dude.
Yeah. Second one was, so now I'm not going to that church anymore.
Why not? They healed your migraines.
They healed my migraines.
What would make you think you needed to go somewhere else?
Well, because so yeah. I don't think at the time I really realized what it was. I think a lot of things like we talked about, I just chalk up as a coincidence. Or it's one of those things, it feels good right now, and then 2 weeks later I kind of just forget about it.
Right.
And the next one was I was going to church, House of Faith.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was really faithful to pay my tithes.
Right.
For some reason, that's one of the things I kind of argued in on.
Yep.
More was like a works type based thing.
Sure.
I kind of felt so.
Well, they probably taught there that was something you're supposed to do, right? So, yeah.
So I was paying my tithes faithfully. Well, at the time, I was going to Alan Hancock's Fire Academy. And I was living with, I think, Emily at the time.
Okay. So now you're what? 19, 20? Okay.
2021.
Okay.
Yeah, 21 maybe. Mariah was just a little tiny baby.
Okay. Oh, she was already born at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so money was super tight all the time. And someone had broke into my truck and stole my backpack was in there, and I think they stole my radio. But in my backpack, I had all of my Fire Academy books in that. And those books were expensive. Anybody knows how much college books are. They're expensive. And so I couldn't afford to get new ones. And so I went to the administrator of the Fire Academy at that time and said, hey, someone broke into my truck. All my books got stolen. What are my options? And they basically said, well, if you don't have new books by next week, I guess you can't finish.
Wow.
So
tough luck, basically. Yeah.
So the guy who was below him, who was actually in charge of the night academy, told the class my deal, and the class mustered up enough money where they were able to purchase all the books I needed but one. So they all pitched in a big pot of money, and I was able to get new books, but I wasn't able to get the IFSTA manual, which is the most expensive book. I want to say it was like $400.
Woo!
And so I had all the books except for one, and so I went to the guy and said, hey, I have everything but one. He's like, well, it looks like you're one book short.
So a day late and $1 short.
Yeah. So I was like, dang. But the whole time, I was still faithful to pay my tithes, right? I didn't skimp on that portion of it.
Yeah.
And I remember, this is when they had payphones at the time. I remember calling my grandma from a payphone and saying, well, Grandma, we gave it our best shot. I can't afford new books. If I don't have this book by next week, I'm going to have to come back next year or come back next time it's offered when I have all the books.
Right.
And as I'm talking to her, in the trash can is the exact book I needed.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, were you calling Grandma? Let's be honest here. Were you calling in hopes that she'd be like, oh, I'll buy that book for you?
Well, I knew she wouldn't because she had already not offered to help out before.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, she helped me out a ton.
Okay.
I think she might have been tapped out too, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, she helped me with other
So it's in the trash can. How have I never heard these stories?
Those are the two miracles, man.
Dude, I've never heard these stories before.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
And it wasn't.
So there's a book. Would it have raw egg on it?
Dude,
or
it was,
animal feces or anything like that?
It was the craziest thing. It wasn't brand new in the wrapper, but it was still a new book.
Wow.
And I thought, what are the chances of the one book I need that I couldn't afford?
Yeah.
I'm paying my tithes.
Yeah.
And that book is in the trash can.
Yeah. Where was the trash can? Was it by a grocery store or something, or a bookstore?
I was. The South Campus of Allen Hancock used to be where they did the Fire Academy there.
Yeah.
And so they had a little courtyard.
That's where they still do the police training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everything moved to the one in Lompoc now.
Okay.
I think everything's moved there.
Gotcha.
Maybe some police academy stuff there. So they had this little courtyard where people would have kind of a pit table, so they had a payphone out there, and the trash can was a few feet away from the from the payphone.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like looking around, bummed out, talking to my grandma.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What'd you say to your grandma? Wait, never mind.
Holy smokes, man.
You're not going to believe this, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was able to finish the fire academy, and everything turned out the way it turned out.
Wow.
Which is crazy, though, because looking back, and even now, like, even though I can't chalk those up to coincidence. I don't.
Right.
I chalk it up to the good Lord.
Right.
But then it's crazy because even though I've had those two things happen, there's still times I doubt him a lot.
Right. Exactly. So that's during a time when you were going to, like you said, 2 different churches. Well, 3 if you count the Foursquare when you were little. So you've obviously always somewhat had a belief in a God. Like you've never been an atheist, right? You're kind of like me in that way. Even though for me, as you know, I wasn't believing in the right God. I was believing in the God that I had designed in my own mind, that let me do whatever I wanted, and he was fine with all my sin and everything else. So that's kind of when I came into play the first time. Like we have an interesting history. Like I said earlier, I knew you in high school. I knew who you were. I knew you were a fighter. You were mean. You seemed mean anyway. I never talked to you. I don't remember talking to you ever in high school. But then we started working at Arnaldi's together. And at that point, you were already married to Emily. Mariah was little. Mariah and Laura became friends. And we started hanging out outside of work. And you guys were attending House of Faith. We were attending Calvary at the time. So kind of start from there. Then what? So then doesn't work out with you and Emily.
You want like just how my life ended up turning?
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is the parts I know is that we were still working together at the pizza place, and I remember, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I remember Emily calls me. And she says, you need to talk to Mike. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, he's talking crazy talk. He's like, he doesn't want to be a Christian anymore. He doesn't want to be married anymore. He doesn't want to do all this stuff anymore. So I'm like, what? That doesn't sound like Mike, whatever. So I call you, and that's exactly what you tell me. He said, I'm not sure about being married anymore. I'm not sure about being a Christian anymore. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? You know? And you just kind of laid it out. You're just like, well, I want to do these other things. I want to, kind of sow your wild oats. So I think that's the time where, and I'm only saying all that because it's important to hear the part of the story where you were a church goer. You were very active in your church. You were. I've been there a few times with you. You're in the back booth. You're working the sound or whatever you were doing. Like you were very close with the pastor there. You guys were meeting outside of. I mean, like you were connected there. You were a church goer, but you would say that at that time you don't think you were actually a Christian.
Yeah,
right? That wasn't until later.
Sure.
When we started hanging out the second time, right? Because there was a long period of time where we didn't talk for years.
Yeah.
And the next time I run into you, you're remarried. You have 2 more daughters now with a new wife, So, and then we started hanging out, and then you had kind of a salvation experience.
Yeah, so at the old church, at the House of Faith, it was me and the pastor were friends. I was friends with his daughter and son-in-law.
Right.
I was a sound guy there for a little bit. And at the time, like, you don't see it. But I think in retrospect, you can kind of put a lot of pieces together and admit certain things.
Sure.
So at the time, I probably thought, yeah, hey, this is where I'm at, this is good, But I didn't realize, like, what being a Christian or a disciple, however people want to word it, there's a cost factor to it.
Right.
And dying to self is a big one.
Yes.
And so I think where I was at then was like, man, I'm going to have a good life. I'm just going to be mellow.
That's right.
I'm going to be, in my mind, I'm going to be morally good, I'm not going to watch pornography. I'm just going to check some boxes.
Right.
Not understanding that that's just the top layer. There's a lot of other stuff that needs to happen.
Sure.
And I wasn't there. I thought I was.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there. And then so, me and Emily didn't work out. And I went and sowed my wild oats. Backslid a ton. That's what you call it. I don't know if I was saved. I would say no back then.
Right.
And then it just got to a point where I hit rock bottom. And then and then reached out, and I said a prayer one night, and I said, God, if you're real, which I knew he was.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And also in that prayer, I said, if I haven't gone too far, if I'm still like able to be saved.
Right. Because you believed you could get to a point where it was impossible.
Yeah. Wow. I thought maybe it was like, man, I've done so much.
Right.
I didn't understand like the grace part of it.
Right.
It was more of like, I have to assist in my own salvation.
Yeah.
I have to do something to help him out.
Yeah. If you don't hold up your end of the bargain, then you're out the door.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. And so like we talked about, I got to a point where I was going to end my life. Mm-hmm. And so that's the night I said that prayer.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning and a lot of things changed for me. And it wasn't, so I have something to compare it to now, how that day was and how I had felt prior, thinking I was saved, right?
Right.
There's a lot more, I wouldn't say revelation, but a lot more, I think I had more insight. I think the Holy Spirit put some things on my heart and helped me realize some things.
Right.
And then that just is like the start. Because now there's the justification process, which we have no control of. That's just, we're justified through him.
Right. Sanctification, I think you mean.
Well, sanctification is what we go through. That's like,
yeah. Well, justification is being saved. That's justification. Sanctification is like your growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the justification, we had no part in it. He saved us, right?
Right.
He did what we did, and we just have to accept it.
Yeah.
But then the sanctification, I still don't have a full grasp on. Yeah. I won't say a full grasp.
Find somebody who does.
Yeah.
I've yet to meet anybody who does, me included.
On the sanctification, because there's lots of ups and downs during that sanctification process. Mm-hmm. And
hills and valleys, man, like Darn Wells says.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm not sure that answered your question.
No, it does. Okay. Yeah, and I guess this is. I mean, obviously, there's a lot in there. I don't want you to share everything in there because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, you and I have talked about this stuff. I just want to kind of lay the foundation of you can be a churchgoer.
Oh yeah.
You can be the kind of person who, even if I would have asked you back then, hey Mike, do you have any doubt about your salvation? You'd be like, no, I'm saved for sure, no problem. But then years later, after going through the circumstances you went through with sowing your wild oats, as we're calling it, and then meeting Kayla and getting remarried and having more children, and then we're talking, that's like 20 years later. I mean, it had to have been, right? Because we were both in our early 20s when we first started hanging out. I was 24 when I got saved, and I know that when we had reconnected at the pizza place, I was already a Christian, so it must have been like 24, 25, and the girls were like 3 or 4, 5 or whatever. And then for you to go through all that, then to be able to come back and say, "Wow, I don't think I was saved then." But you have this experience where you're suicidal you're rock bottom, right? And that's a common theme you hear from a lot of people, is that the Lord almost has to bring you, and that's his mercy, to bring you to that place where you have nothing but him, and all you can do is cry out and say, Lord, I got nothing. It's got to be you or I'm out, and then it's him. Right? And then he changes your life overnight. It doesn't mean you wake up the next morning and you're perfect and you're not going to sin ever again, but you have a renewed, and to me that's what salvation is. You're a new creation. You're not a perfect creation by any means. You're never going to be a perfect creation until you're in glory. And even then I have my doubts on that. But so I just think that's important for people to understand, because a lot of times people say, well, I'm a Christian. Well, what does that even mean? Oh, I go to a Christian church. Okay, but what about the rest of your life? What's going on in the Monday through Saturday? Yeah. Oh, nothing. You ever read the Word? Do you ever pray? Nah, not really. I pray before meals. Yeah. Okay, I pray when something happens. Yeah. I need help. It's holidays, like, no, it's like, do you have a relationship? And that's why I like the analogy of with your wife. Some of these people that say they're Christians, it'd be the equivalent of if I get married to Bethany, and then I only talk to her when I need something from her. Like, hey, I'm hungry, and she'd be like, you haven't talked to me in a week. It's like, yeah, but I'm hungry. Like, I need you to make me a sandwich or something, right? I need you to make me some food. She's gonna be like, I don't even know. We don't even know each other. Who are you? Yeah. You this guy lives in my house. You never talk to me. You never hug me or kiss me or nothing. We're not even there's no relationship there, right? And that's a lot of these Christians. Their whole relationship, and I use that term loosely, is I go to church on Sundays. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's just not reality. What you're talking about is reality. You know. So,
I can speak on that portion of it, and I'll be honest about it, because
I would hope so.
It's like
there's no room for lies on this show.
Yeah. At the time when I have the two comparisons, if I'm real, a portion of it is saying you're a Christian and doing that on the surface. It's very safe. Maybe not now to get people, you know. I'm talking back then when you have to worry about persecution or judgment or being called a big whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a very respectable position to take. Oh yeah, I go to church on Sundays.
Yeah.
I do this. So I'm a Christian guy, you know. And then people might, because how I did is, people will view you as, you're trustworthy now. Oh, you're a good guy. Oh, they'll speak highly of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I talked about earlier about discernment and looking at my own self and asking God, so, hey, expose myself to who I am. Maybe I don't even know who I am. Help me.
Right.
Some of that stuff I was dealing with was pride.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to view me a certain way.
Right.
And so I will say something, even though I'm not truly convicted of it, I'll say a certain thing because I want something out of it.
Right.
And unfortunately, I haven't been that person. I can see that being very appealing to a lot of people who go to church, say they're Christians, like you say, they can't wait to get out of there because they want to watch football.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Hey, how long is this sermon going to go?
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Boy, this guy just keeps talking about Jesus. I wish he'd shut up.
Yeah.
I got stuff to do, man. You're 5 seconds over the normal time here, you know?
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
And I was that guy.
Yeah.
And I still am sometimes, you know, and that's part of the sanctification. I have to repent of that and get my focus redone, and it's a daily thing.
Yes. For all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if people are honest and can look at it, they don't have to admit it out front to people, because God knows our heart. But for anybody who's listening or dealing with that, pray that your heart's checked.
Yeah.
God, the Holy Spirit reveals things about yourself that you need to maybe address.
Yeah. But if we're praying that all the time, like for the Lord to work on us, that doesn't leave a whole lot of room to pray about, you know, other people changing and us wanting other people to change. You know, like, I hate that guy. Would you do something about that guy, Lord? I mean, that guy's, you know?
Yeah.
That's the point, right? We should be asking, like me first, like, what in me is wrong? Before I start pointing fingers at everyone else and saying this guy and this guy and this guy, what's going on with me? Because there's not a day any of us can wake up and say, oh, everything's great with me. I got no problems at all.
Oh, man.
I got no sins anymore. I'm just, my mindset is just on the Lord 24/7.
Yeah.
No. So.
Well, one of the biggest things that we've talked about, and I've had talks with Kayla about, is, you know, when the marriage isn't going well or things aren't going well with coworkers, it's very easy to be like, well, make excuses. Well, because of this person, I'm doing this.
Right.
That's never really a good excuse.
Yeah. Oh, it's easier to blame others than ourselves, because blaming ourselves hurts more.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to make some uncomfortable changes, uncomfortable truths. And that's one thing that's helped my marriage a ton, helped my work stuff, helped my friendships. It's like, man, why is this person not inviting me over? You know, why is my wife not wanting to really hang out right now? You know, what am I doing?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
what bridges did you burn and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, for sure. Okay, so good. That's exactly what I want. Kind of have a background of where you're coming from. So, if we were to talk about things that you see as problems with church or with Christianity. I mean, it's weird to word it that way, because if we're talking about genuine, real Christianity, there's nothing wrong with it, because it's the Lord. It's all the Lord. But I mean, we have things like American Christianity. We have you know, churchism, and you know, I mean, like there's all these different aspects of that. I mean, so do you what kind of issues do you see in that area?
With the American church?
Well, just in any of it. I mean, it's like if you had the power to change something about people. I mean, other than saying I hope everybody would get saved.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the main thing. But
I would probably say, off the top of my head, the biggest thing I see going on with churches are they're slowly starting to water down and preach like almost like a different gospel.
Mm-hmm.
They're perverting the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you see the prosperity gospel coming in. Now they have this thing called the progressive Christian.
Yeah.
Starting to question and even throw out and be as bold as to say Jesus got it wrong. He didn't really mean this.
Yeah, I start backing away from those people. I don't want to get singed by the lightning strike.
It's very, very dangerous.
Why do you think the Lord lets people like that get away with that?
Like the church leaders who are doing it?
Yeah, just in general. Those that are like leading whole congregations away from the teaching of Scripture and into the teachings of man. Yeah,
that's... I think it's accurate to say he lets them do it, right? Because we all have our free will.
Right. Yeah, he could strike him dead at any moment.
Yeah.
And as soon as they get up in the pulpit just to preach falsely, he could be like, boom, dead.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't,
I would like to say that in his perfect plan, even though he lets that happen, it's still going to somehow turn out for his glory.
Yeah.
Whether he does condemn certain people to hell on Judgment Day, and he let them go so far down a path where they're like, I get it, I know why I'm going to hell,
mm-hmm.
There's going to be no
excuses.
Now, why he lets mass congregations happen, I think it's to fulfill Scripture that says there's a narrow gate that few will find.
Yep.
And the broad gate that many will travel. I think it's a part of that.
Right. So that means if we ever walk into a church and the congregation is really big, we should just turn around and walk right out, because it's like there's no way that's the truth's being preached here, because if there was, there'd only be like 5 people in this place.
You got to play the numbers game where like if you put a percentage on it, like 5% of the people are going to go to heaven, like this is a big church, 5%, I might not make the 5%.
Right. Right.
I'm going to go to church with 3 people. Because one of us isn't making it.
Right.
The odds are better.
Well, and I know, like for me, like I've gone to bigger congregations. I was involved in a very small congregation for a lot of years. And it's just a different dynamic. Like you can't really, like, it's intimate. Like when you're in a small congregation, you know everybody in there. Like you're meeting with them outside of church. You're having, barbecues there. You're having, and I mean, where we're at now is bigger, and of course we have barbecues there. But dude, I personally know maybe 15 to 20 people in that go to church there personally. I know a lot of people by face. I know a lot of people by name. But like mostly I'm walking by all these people, like I've never talked to that guy or I've never talked to that girl, or like I never. So it's kind of easier to get lost in the crowd, which a lot of people like, because like, then I don't have to like expose myself to anybody. I don't have to like let my deep dark sins be known. To when you're more intimate, like the early church, you see that, oh man, those guys knew. We know Peter's struggling with pride again, or whatever, because we just watched him, it's like hard to hide that stuff, which I think is good, because our deeds should be in the light, so if I like to do this is fun, I like to play devil's advocate. So if I'm an atheist, right, and I come to you and you tell me, you're a Christian, and I say, stupid idiot, what are you a Christian for? That's all been proven false. What do you mean? Evolution obviously proved God doesn't exist, so why are you so dumb? How would you respond to that?
So a guy who does a real good job, I'd probably take some of Ray Comfort's lines.
Yeah, he's good.
Ray Comfort likes to break it down at that level,
and he's got that accent, which just makes it. I love that accent.
And his little dog with on the handlebars of his bike. I would. I think he approaches those people really well. He does it in love.
Yes.
He kind of makes them just answer some straight up questions,
Right.
I'd probably go that route with you.
So if he goes with it in love, then why do so many people get so angry when you watch his videos of him talking to people on the street? I mean, he's had people flat out wanting to kill him throw stuff at him, punch him, whatever, yelling, they're screaming every obscenity in the book. Mm-hmm. You know, if he's coming at them in love, what's their problem? I think a lot, and myself included, I think society has lost track of what love is. They think love has to be acceptance. Right. And if you don't accept me, then you can't love me. Right. Which is so stupid, because it doesn't apply anywhere else in life. I know. Right? You look at all these people that are working with Alcoholics Anonymous or with Narcotics Anonymous, or these people that are in really bad places because of their drug addiction, right? All these counselors that are working with them, they love them so much they're willing to give up their time to try to help these people. But do they approve of and agree with their using drugs? Of course not. You know, but then we get to the God concept, and it's like, oh no, you Christians don't love us unless you allow us to believe whatever we want and just let us say that it's all true. No, it's the love that compels me to tell you you're wrong. Yeah, and you could be in hell because of your wrong belief. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's it's any parent can. Anybody who's a parent, or a parent, if you love your best friend or your husband or whoever it is that you love, and you see them doing something that you know is going to get them incarcerated, killed, driving, hey, I'm going to drive like a moron and not wear my seatbelt. Yeah, you're going to tell that person, hey man, put your seatbelt on. That shouldn't be met with, you don't accept for what I'm doing, you don't love me. Right. But then I think it turns into, and I forget who says this, maybe Vody Bachman, but we have this, love means like we want to be our own God. We want to be able to do what we want. Love of self. The love of self. Yep. Exactly. And if you don't love my drug addiction, if you don't love my homosexual lifestyle, if you don't love this, if you don't love that about me, then you possibly don't love me. Right. I'll say, no, I do love you. And like you said, enough to take the time out of my day and warn you and help and try to help you. Right. If I didn't love you, I would, like I said, it's opposite. The people who just go along with it, oh yeah, go ahead and go drive drunk. That's great. Right. Go get addicted to drugs. Yeah. Do you love me, or you just? Well, and that's why I've tried to explain to people, because I know that non-Christians, they don't understand it, because they've said things to me like, Ryan, why can't you just believe in Christianity and leave me alone? I don't believe it. Just let me believe what I want to believe and get out of my face. Stop trying to convert me to your belief system. And I say, look, if that's all it was a belief system, I would agree with you. Absolutely. But if I'm right, if Christianity is true, if the Bible is true, then what you're asking me to do is to watch you blindly walk towards a cliff. And not just a normal cliff that's just going to kill you on impact. A cliff that is going to make you be in pain and misery forever if you walk off that cliff. And you're asking me just to sit idly by and be like, oh, there goes John. Yeah, he's just going to walk over the cliff. Look at him. Look at him. Watch him. Oh, look, he just tripped. Like, there he goes. Look at him. He's falling. Check him out. No. What am I going to do? I'm going to run at that guy and say, stop. What are you doing? And, of course, he doesn't see the cliff. He doesn't even know it's there. That's why it's difficult for them, because they just see it as a religious belief. And they think all religious beliefs are the same. Everybody's different. And that when we all die, we're all going to be somewhere nice. Yeah. You know? But that's why I say, if it's true. Because can I prove to them 100% that what I believe is true? No, I can't. But I would do like we were talking about before. I would take, what evidence do I have? How much of that evidence from all these different places seems to point towards that conclusion? That's what I look at. I can't prove it 100%, but if I'm up in the 90%, I'm like, well, that's pretty good. That's pretty worth looking into, you know? So, but like specifically, like if you were going to try to convince me that Christianity is true and Buddhism is not, or Hinduism or whatever, like all these other different ones, how are you going to do that? Well, first off, this is what I would do. This is what I like to think I would do, right? If it's a complete stranger and I don't know who they are, as opposed to someone I kind of know who they are, I'd pray I'd pray for myself to be able to minister to this person. Why would you do that?
Because I don't think I'd be able to do it on my own. I think I need the Holy Spirit's help.
Gotcha.
He might need to hear something that I don't know. And then I would try to appeal to whatever their issue was. If they're a very science-based person and very, I got to have physical evidence, I would point them to the fact, well, this is, if the physical evidence will help you get to this area, well, let's look at, there's physical evidence that Jesus Christ was a person.
Yep.
Every other religion, I don't know of anybody who says Jesus Christ wasn't a person.
Right.
They differ on who he was.
Correct.
But no one can say he wasn't a person.
No. Well, they can.
Well, yeah, I guess they can, yeah.
But they're stupid.
There's evidence, that he was crucified the way he was. And he was behind the tomb where he was. That Noah's Ark is a real thing. And so hopefully that would jumpstart if there were like more of a physical, I need science type thing.
Right. But then what if they said, so a guy named Jesus existed and they killed him because he was a nutball. He was crazy. He thought he was God. He was claiming all these crazy things. So they killed him. Now he's dead. And all these stupid idiot Christians keep following a dead man.
Yeah.
Then what do you say?
Well, I would give him my personal encounter with Jesus.
Okay.
Things he's done for me personally.
Yeah. Maybe he hallucinated those things.
Yeah, maybe those things.
Maybe wishful thinking. Maybe you wanted those things to be true so bad that they became true for you.
Yeah. That could come across that way, yeah. I would, so whenever I like debate or try to talk someone into it, I found it's best for me, if I want them to believe a certain thing, or at least point them in the right direction, to let them talk more. And hopefully the more they talk, the more questions they will answer themselves, and kind of let them pigeonhole themselves. Yeah. And I'll do the same thing. If I'm off base and if I just keep talking, I'm like, well, I guess you're right. I guess I don't really think this, Maybe I'll contradict myself.
Yeah.
Maybe I will talk myself out of something. So if I figure I don't think debate's the right word, but converse with someone, I've learned to listen a lot more. Because if I'm always prepared to if I'm always thinking what my response is going to be, I'm not really hearing what they're saying.
Sure.
And I might miss something.
Yeah, and you want to connect with them, right? Because I think that's where it starts. Like you develop a friendship with them, not in a sales pitch way. Like, oh, I got to become friends with this guy so he'll buy my product. That's sleazy. That's not. I don't think that's what I shouldn't say. That's not what. I'm sure there are some Christians that are doing that. But I know for me, I like the verse that says, "Be ready to give an answer to those that ask you," because it doesn't say go out there and tell the whole world about Jesus. I know that a lot of Christians will use what they call the Great Commission, is that's all of our jobs. I personally don't believe that. I think the Lord uses us for His purposes and His glory, but I don't know who that's going to be. And I've been guilty of going out in my own human effort trying to convert people, and it goes terribly because, like you said, the Lord's not in it. It's just me. I got nothing. I got intellect. I can explain to you intellectually why I believe. But if you don't have the Spirit of God opening your heart to hear that, giving you ears to hear, as Jesus said, then there's nothing. It's going to fall on deaf ears. Yeah. And they're going to walk away and be like, no, that guy's nuts.
The soil.
Exactly.
Bad soil.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And the thing is, we don't know what kind of soil those people are when we talk to them.
Yeah.
So I have always looked at it like, if they start asking me questions, maybe it's the Lord. Because I didn't say anything. I didn't tell them I'm a Christian. And they just started asking me, hey, what do you think about God, man? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me share my journey with you.
Sure.
And that'll open up a conversation. But then there's other times where I feel more like I'm on a mission. Oh man, I know this guy at work and he's just such a mess and his marriage is falling apart and he's all these things. He's an alcoholic, whatever it is, Man, the Lord could really clean up his life. He really needs the Lord. And then I go out in there and try to, whatever. And it's like, nothing happened. Why did nothing happen? Because that was what I wanted to do. the Lord might be thinking, Ryan, that he's bad soil. He's like, I can already see his heart. He's never going to receive the truth. But we don't know that. So, yeah, that's good, man. That's cool. Do you have that ever? Like, do you get a lot of that kind of, I know you were for a while. Back in the day, you had a lot of like coworkers and stuff that would start up conversation with you.
Yeah, I get it sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like they get it just to. It seems like more now they ask questions because they're really curious. Before I felt like they were asking me because they knew how I was before.
Yeah.
And they were asking me to try to get me to trip up on something, or, oh yeah, Mike, you say this, but this is how it used to be.
Right.
But now that I've been a certain way for a certain while now, I think maybe they see it more, and it's more like, well, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? You know?
Right.
It's more of a genuine, where it comes from a more genuine place, I think, the questions.
Right. And do you think a lot of that, especially because of the things going on, and this is back to politics kind of, but like the things going on in the world, I tend to get a lot more questions now because of the things happening. I mean, even if it's something like, hey, Ryan, you're a Christian, right? Yeah. Do you think Trump's a Christian? Because I know a lot of Christians that think he's a Christian. You know what I mean? It's just questions like that, which are kind of dumb because it's like, well, what kind of question is that? Yeah. But it opens up stuff. Sure. You know, because if at bare minimum, it gives me the opportunity to share what I even believe a Christian is. It's like, well, you know, Trump says he's a Christian. Okay. Yeah, he does. I saw the video. He does. He says he's a Christian. You're right. So does Obama. Oh, no. You know, because they're like Trump supporters. No, not Obama. Yeah. I was like, well, what's the difference? You have two men claiming the exact same thing. Why do you say one is telling the truth and one isn't? Yeah. What's the difference, right? And then that'll open stuff up. So, I mean, do you find you get a lot of questions like that? Like just stuff going on in the world? Like, yeah. Hey, Mike, as an militant anti-vaxxer, I mean, how does that play into like your belief in God? Oh, yeah. And stuff like that? Yeah, they've asked me why I don't worry about certain things, especially politically now. Everything going on in the Middle East. Oh yeah, I've had questions about that. That's a big one. Yeah.
And I don't know too much of the history behind Hamas and Israel. Right. I know some major dates and some of the high points of, like they talked about, actually just talked about it in Church Sunday, of when Israel was scattered. Yeah. When they became a nation.
Yeah. That was a great sermon Sunday.
Yeah. So I know some of those high points about there. But people have asked, I think the most common question now for me is, do I think we're in the end times? Yeah. Because of everything that's starting to shape up.
Well, what do you think? Let's end on that one. That's a good one.
The end times?
Let's end on end times. Where do you think we're at in that?
I think...
You got a couple hours at least, right, before the Lord comes back?
A couple hours, yeah. I go back and forth on it. I do think that there's a strong possibility it'll be in our lifetimes.
You and me? Okay, because we're pretty old, man.
Pretty old, man. Yeah,
we're mid 40s, dude. That's
we're over halfway dead.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So the end times, the Bible says we're gonna be like in a one world government.
Yep.
One world currency.
You see that happening?
I see it happening.
Okay.
I know. So politically, there was a handful of countries, I forget which ones they were now, that just abandoned the U.S. dollar. They're not using the dollar anymore.
Okay. That's happened, or they're talking about it happening?
It's happened.
Okay.
Like, as of last week.
I hadn't seen that yet.
3 countries are like, yeah, dollar's garbage. We're not going to use it anymore.
That's probably like Yemen and like...
Yeah, maybe.
Little tiny countries.
Yeah, but oil-based countries, yeah. We got enough stuff. We don't need the dollar.
Yeah. I don't even know if Yemen's a country. I just got through that. That might be a city or something. I don't know.
But the biggest thing for me that keeps pushing me towards that we are in the end times, other than the obvious, every time since Jesus has passed is the end time. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah. I mean, they were saying that in Bible times.
Yeah. 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Saying, yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is true. I think we are in the end times, but the question is, what does that mean?
Sure.
When we say, in today's society, we say end times, we think, it's going to be, like you said, in our lifetime, we're going to see the coming of the Lord.
Yeah.
You know?
And that could be totally off.
Yeah.
It could be because I think it would be more accurate for me to say it's clear as day to me that things are really shaping up at a fast pace.
Yeah.
To set us up for the end times. Now, how fast some of those things happen is, I guess, to be the question.
Yeah.
So, do I think we're on a very fast pace for a one world currency? Yes.
How soon do you see that happening?
Well, so this is the analogy I use. There was a time where if you were in a different country, you couldn't use your dollar or vice versa. Well, what's the one thing that we have now that we can use anywhere? We have a credit card.
Cards, yeah.
And so a credit card for me is a form of a one world currency.
Can you though? I mean, if I go to like Iraq, can I bust out my Visa and use it there?
You can.
Okay.
It would just be converted differently.
Okay. There'd be like a $40 service charge or something.
Well, that, and it would be like if you buy something for like, say, it's $10 over there, but you might have a credit card payment here that says now you owe $50.
Right.
Because the currency exchange difference.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you can use it anywhere.
Okay.
And then another one I see that's really starting to like ramp up at a record pace is
crypto.
No, as crypto too.
Yeah.
But different topic was the Bible says we'll be lovers of like evil. What's good will be considered evil, and evil considered good. And I see that with just if you don't have this type of mindset, almost like if you want the truth, you're considered bad now.
Yeah.
It was unfathomable 60 years ago to have homosexual marriage, to have transgender kids, to support all the puberty blockers, whatever topic you want to talk. And now if you are against that, you're like, you don't love your kids. It's like, what? How did that work? It's a complete 180.
And it seemed like just over the matter of a few years, all of that. I mean, I understand that transgender has been around longer than that, but it seems like in the last couple of years it's become front and center because of things like puberty blockers and the lawsuits happening with transgender surgeries and that kind of thing for minors and
and I see them really going after the kids and because one, they're impressionable, but just say in 2 generations you're going to have a larger percentage of those people who are on board with evil.
Right.
So the evil, they don't want to come talk to me and you because we're going to be but they're planting the seed. So next generation is going to be even more evil. Yeah. Accepting of evil.
You plant it when they're little, and then they grow up that way, and then they have kids and they raise their kids that way, and then eventually, and as the more you do that, the more the population of that mindset starts to dominate.
Yeah. So it's more domination of this is immoral is more acceptable.
Sickening. But then I think to myself, what is the purpose behind that? Like, let's say I'm an individual person, whoever I am, and I'm saying to myself, okay, we got to get to the youth. We got to indoctrinate the youth with this, for lack of a better term, woke ideology, right? All these things we've kind of been talking about. A few of the things. There's a lot of stuff we didn't talk about that involves with that. But like, what's the purpose? Like let's say that they succeed, and then 30 years from now, when our kids are parents or grandparents, and say 80% of the population believes all of that stuff, who benefits from that? Like, what's the push there?
So I think it's not like a human benefit. I think it like something on that big of a scale. I just think it's like fulfills prophecy.
So you think it's spiritual?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I would say too, because I think a lot of time the people aren't even aware of what's happening. Because when you press them like logically, like, well, why do you believe that's okay? Like to use the transgender thing. Why do you believe that if a person who's a certain thing believes in their mind there's something other than that they are that thing? Like, when did we make that jump?
Yeah.
Like any other topic, it sounds ludicrous. And that's why even when I use the example, I say, well, what if someone believes they're 65? Should they get a Social Security check? Ryan, that's so stupid. Why do you say that's such a stupid argument? All you stupid idiots always use that stupid argument. It's not a stupid argument. It's the exact same concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's age. That's different. You're missing my point entirely. My point is, you guys are claiming
that if somebody believes something to be true in their mind, that literally changes them into that thing. And we're supposed to treat them as that thing that they believe they are in their mind.
Yeah.
How is that any different than someone believing they're 65?
Mm-hmm.
How is it any different than me going to the bank and saying, I identify as a millionaire, you better let me cash out $1 million?
Yeah.
Why is that any different? But when I use that example, they get all upset at me.
Yeah.
I can't even believe you're comparing the two. It's so stupid. It's such a dumb argument. Oh my gosh, you can't even see that it's the same argument.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the two things are the same. They're not the same, but the argument is the same.
Hmm. I think they get so angry because for a split second, they are forced with, it hits them like, I'm completely in the wrong. I can't answer this.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to get angry.
Yes. Because they have no response.
They have no response.
That's my point. That's what I was saying. Whenever I logically, I try to approach with logic, all I get back is emotion. It's like, do you realize you're so angry because you don't have an answer? And if you don't have an answer to why you believe what you believe, maybe you should rethink your beliefs.
Yeah.
I would.
Sure.
Like, I have a reason for believing the things I believe. Now, if someone comes along, and this is the one people always use, well, Ryan, what if they found Jesus' bones somewhere, and they could 100% prove it was Jesus? I say that I would abandon Christianity. I would walk out the Christianity door and never look back. If they could prove that.
Yeah.
Right? But I'd have to be convinced that was actually Jesus' bones. Why? Because it means he never resurrected.
Yeah.
And if he never resurrected, my faith is dead. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I got a guy who said a bunch of things and then died.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the same as every other religious leader in the world. He's no different. The thing that sets Jesus apart is he resurrected.
Yeah.
He defeated death, So.
Well, like what you say, it's spiritual. That's why I feel like, and other people have said it before, I don't believe this is like a left-right, conservative, liberal fight. It's I think it's where we're at now. It's an evil versus a good fight. I think it's a spiritual battle.
Right.
That we are seeing the ripple effect here on Earth, and everything, whether it's in our lifetime or further down the road or in 1,000 years, who knows? But it's really gearing up towards, the rapture. For those who believe in the rapture, I do.
Yeah. Well, if you believe it, it makes it true.
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that's the kind of thing that makes you believe that the rapture might be happening within our lifetime, is because of
just how fast it's moving.
How fast it's moving, and how it goes beyond anything mental. It's going beyond common sense and logic. To the point of that's just what I believe and just shut up.
Yeah, it's a very evil agenda,
right?
Demonic agenda, right. I believe.
Okay.
And I believe with the thing of AI, and this isn't biblical.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tie some biblical stuff into it. But this is how I think it is going to kind of tie into it.
All right, and bring us home.
Yeah. AI is getting so enhanced now.
Yeah,
it's going to be really hard to tell the difference, what's real and what's not. I'm sure you guys have heard about the deep fakes and deep fake videos. They're getting better at that stuff. And so when the Bible says like the Antichrist will suffer a fatal head wound, right? And then and I say, well, how is that going to happen? Are we going to see like a JFK type thing? Where his head wound blown up, and then we see him 2 days later, and or is it going to be not ever really happen, but we're going to see it AI generated, and then everybody's going to be deceived and convinced? I don't know. It could be way off. But I just see all the AI stuff, all the misinformation from the media, all the, hey, you have to be on board with this agenda. 2 parents in the household, that's stupid. Mom and dad, that's dumb. You can be whatever you want type thing.
Yeah.
It'd be very easily for all those things to gear up towards or to rationalize away a rapture.
Yeah.
I even went as far as to say, remember that they're bringing in, we have UFOs. We have these people.
Yeah.
Well, what better way to get everybody to have a population just disappear,
right,
and no one to question it? Then they'd be like, UFOs.
Yeah.
I think the stage is being set.
Yeah. Or the monolith thing.
Yeah, the monolith.
That was everywhere. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? No, nobody's even talking about that anymore.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's all of a sudden gone, yeah. I think it's more accurate for me to say our minds are being conditioned and the stage is being set to explain away the rapture.
Right.
and to get people obviously on board with the Antichrist agenda.
Okay.
With the way I see everything happen in the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
That was fun.
It was really fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We should do another one.
We should. All right.
Well, you made it to the end of another episode. Thanks. I really appreciate you. If you have anything that you would like to say to me, you can reach me at Why Can't We Talk About That at proton.me. Or you could ask to join the Why Can't We Talk About That podcast Facebook group and share your thoughts there. Please leave a review or two. Thank you. Here's part of what next week's episode will sound like.
Well, and the challenge, though, then in the political arena, though, is, all right, you have a belief system, and then you're going to make policy decisions that then say, I'm going to make it very difficult for this person that I just don't like.
Yes.
I don't like those people.
Right.
And I'm going to make policy decisions that then make it very hard for them to get a job.
Right.
Or to move about freely, or to voice their opinions effectively.
Sure.
And so it's not a big leap to go from just your point of view. It's like, oh no, it's just my opinion that those people aren't worthy of living. Well, I mean, well, then I sort of go, I don't know. Like that's a tough just opinion for us to coexist around.
Sure.
Because if your belief set necessitates my annihilation, then we're maybe going to fight.
Right.
Hi, I'm Buzz Aldrin. I want you to know that the moon landing never happened. I should know because I'm an astronaut.